All right, man, oh man, oh man. Yes, indeed. It's that time again, Monday night in the Counselor's Corner. The only place to be for another open court discussion. Man, time for some March Madness because it's really been madness these last couple days. We got
That's what it is. March
yeah,
Madness.
it's March Madness.
That's why
Let me
y'all
get
acting
these.
so wild.
Let me get these introductions. As I'm your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor, C2 for short. Joining me is my panel that you either love or hate. Herb Lewis,
Who
the
could
Big
hate
Bad Wolf.
us?
There's a lot of
Ow.
people hating. Willie A. Price speaks nothing but the truth.
That's right, and we gonna speak it tonight.
Christine comes
Lord.
correct all the time.
All the time.
She's not here currently, but the lovable Lakia Perry, Anetta Life Coach Williams, and the youngest in charge, Shaughnessy Andrews. So let's go back to a recap from last week. We discussed what makes you a king or queen, and how much does titles mean to you? Well, the consensus of the panel said they're really not checking for those titles like that.
Yeah,
So we
right.
kind of, yeah, well, that's what they said. But we'll get more into that. Okay, let's move on for tonight. So we got another great one. Tonight, March 7th, we'll bring the madness with: do women without fathers in their life know what a real man is? Truly know what a real man is. I know y'all sitting there like, oh man, can't wait to get into this. This is going to get interesting. So, number two, how security minded are you when it comes to dating? Number three, have you ever dated a coworker? Please share your experience. And number four, he's handsome, she's gorgeous, but what's a deal breaker? The hands, bad breath, eat with your mouth open. We'll talk about those deal breakers. So, you talk about a banger, this will be madness for real. Um, so tune in, tell a friend, bring a friend. Somebody needs to hear these messages. Also, please like and share our video, and let's go with the subscriptions. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. And here we are. Man, it's been crazy, man. We got somebody in the counselor's corner shaking up the world. Shaking up the world. She coming on the scene like AI or something in the NBA, whatever. Like,
I love it too. It's so
shaking
crazy.
up the world. Man, and now they want me to play referee, and I'm like, I don't got time for this shit. Like throughout the day, they'll be reffing, to be reffing.
Oh, on the post?
But it's funny that they want you to play referee, but when they reckless, they don't want you to say nothing.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Exactly. And they've been real reckless this week.
I think it's been both sides though.
It has.
I think it's been both sides. It's been crazy. I had to cuss at somebody today. She called me racist.
Called you
Oh,
what?
damn.
She called me racist.
Racist?
A white lady.
What?
Oh,
What'd
wow.
you say? What'd you say that made
The
her think
post
you were
that I
racist?
posted where the I guess it was three black guys passed and it took to the fourth guy and it was a white guy to actually help her. She said that was racist.
Helping with the car. To fix the
Yeah,
car.
so I said that she said that was racist, and I told her she missed it. Like you completely
What?
missed it, and she wanted to go back and forth about. So I had to cuss at her, and I meant every cuss word too, and I don't take it back.
To what you're saying, to what you're saying, what I'm realizing is
Got something
there's
playing in
that.
the background. Two things.
Yeah, somebody sound like they got a TV or something playing.
It's not
To that, Shaughnessy, what I'm seeing is there a cultural gap, and if unfortunately if that isn't explained,
then the individual will miss it. I end up blocking somebody because they didn't understand a comment that was made. They kept beating down the same information request that really had nothing to do with the comment made. And I'm not going to mention any names just because that individual is not here to defend themselves. But as soon as I saw the comment made, I knew immediately what was being referenced without actually making it public. But in order for you to understand that, either you have to be astute in African American history, or you miss it.
Right.
And the individual missed it. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not dealing with it.
And I was like, girl.
Because like I said, there's a cultural component that's not understood. So if you're outside of that culture, you'll miss the reference. People that are inside the culture understood the reference.
Right.
But
I didn't necessarily push
run to that. You also have people that will run to that racist and racial when they can't think of another argument.
And I hate
that's
something that it grinds my gears, whether it be a white person or a black person. Do not pull no race card just because that's your only option. Like, do not do that.
They run out of argument until all of a sudden now it's racial.
It's race. Like, no, nobody was being racist to you. You didn't show up to work on time for 4 days in a row. So now you're being dealt with. It's not racist. Like, it's not.
It's an easy card to play, and it's hard to defend yourselves against it. What I would tell somebody is this: let's examine what it is that you think is, and let's deal with that and that only. See, there's a lot of things when I'm having discussions with people, I'll readily take off the table before they can even go there. And that's how you get ahead of that, because if you don't, it's always easy for somebody to put that card. It's like the big joker in spades. Nothing can beat it. Mm-hmm. You ain't trying to beat it. You're trying to actually make sure that you can't be used against you.
Got you.
And that's what a lot of people do. And that's why a lot of people always accuse me of trying to be right. I said, I'm not trying to be right. I'm just trying to be understood. And when I have those type of discussions with somebody who's equally there, it makes for a much more harmonious discussion. That's why I would say growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. And I'll get into that a little bit later, but I'll let everybody else take over.
But you have also people that just want to argue too. So no matter what you say, they're going to find an argument in it.
Well, I'm sorry, I was rude. We just jumped right in, didn't ask what's going on, what's good, or whatever the case is. But before anybody else goes, give a shout out. Tomorrow is my mother's. I ain't gonna tell your age. Mom. Early happy birthday. I ain't gonna tell nobody you turning 91. I ain't gonna tell nobody that. She probably comment, I am not no freaking 91. Happy birthday, moms. Just need to give you a shout out. I know you watching. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Right.
Happy birthday. Many more.
I had a great, man. When I say you can tell when it's getting warm outside, because I start going places, because for the winter, I haven't gone anywhere. I stayed in the house most of the time. But this past weekend, I went to Ohio for an anniversary party and just hung out with people and just had a great time. Then came back to Buffalo and went to salsa dancing. I asked me, do I know how to salsa dance? Hell to the no, but they didn't know. I'll move. The lady said, just move your feet to the music. Oh, okay, whatever. My feet was going one way, my body was going the other way. Oh, okay, whatever. I don't know nobody in here. So I did salsa dance. Then got up the next day, Sunday, and went to a birthday brunch for my big sister, my stepsister, 70th birthday party. So when I say I can tell it's getting warm outside, because I have been going like crazy, but it has been a great time. I am so sore. I went to practice Saturday. Also, Sunday. I ran up at the track. It was 62 degrees outside. So I went up to the track and worked out and ran on the track before going to the birthday party. And so it's been a great weekend. I'm looking forward to tonight because I'm looking forward to the topics. So that was my week.
All right. We got like 5 minutes to wrap up this segment. So who's next on what's going on with them?
I haven't had really nothing going on. I've been boring. I haven't been out lately since that whole track and scare. So I just go to work and come home.
All right. That's the safest thing sometimes.
I'll go last just because what I have will segue into the first topic.
Uh, my weekend was uneventful. I didn't do a lot either.
And I've been chilling with this little guy.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Are you
Congrats.
breastfeeding?
it's precious.
Are you breastfeeding?
Only with
I'm
Oh,
glad
that's,
she
that's,
chose to
that's
ignore.
not your baby. That's somebody else's baby.
I'm glad
My
she chose to
grandbaby.
ignore.
That's your grandbaby. What's his name?
Micah.
Hey, Micah.
He doesn't want to hear your voice.
He's adorable.
Thank you.
Hey,
I've been in the
Micah.
same position. I've been in the same position since I got off of work at 1:30. Well,
He already
I
out
don't
the
Oh,
know.
don't want to
hospital.
wake him.
That would seem like he quick. He came home quick. How long
You
was
know,
he in
they,
there
they
for?
give
He
you
was
a
born on the
Band-Aid and your
2nd. He
baby
came
these
home
days
that
is
Friday. He
something.
was only there a day and a half.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't keep them long. They used to keep them for like
Mm-mm.
forever. Now they send you home as soon as you can breathe, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
healthy,
unless
they
you have
like
a
bye.
C-section. Yep.
Wow.
Just seemed like that was just the other day, but hey, guess
I
Yeah.
know.
yeah.
No, they don't keep people in the hospital nowadays. They got to make room so they can run up some other bills.
But he's loving his grandma right now.
He'll grow out of that.
The shade of
My
know
other
that.
grandsons love me.
I don't know about that one, Willie.
I'm just playing, Annette. You know I'm just playing with you.
I ain't fooling with you.
All right, Herb, what's good?
Man, my day probably started about, I think about maybe about 2:30 or 3 o'clock this morning. I was on a live YouTube stream. Shout out to Black Man Being Brutally Honest for holding that stream. At the end of the stream, he had some people come up and we were chopping it up about various things. After that, and it was kind of contentious. After that, another young gentleman and myself, we were chopping it up about a situation that I heard that I've been dealing with and is known to people on the panel. So, and shout out to Q Better too. Brothers out here doing some things, man. If you know who he is, support that brother any way possible. He's, like I said, he's doing some things out here in the community, and it's always nice to be associated with people who are doing those type of things. But him and I chopped it up, and like I said, I dropped the situation with the paternity issue on him, and he was saying some very relevant things, and he corrected me on something about something that I said before on this panel. So I'm going to share that with everybody else. When I said that I didn't know my father, but he taught me one immutable lesson, he pulled my coattail on that, and he said, I understand what it is that you're saying, but you have to be careful about how you use that. And I said, what do you mean? He said, the way that sounds is it comes off as you blaming your mother. He said, with both of your parents are irresponsible. And I took that to heart. So I'm going to let it be known that I'm going to rephrase that statement from now on, that I learned something from both of my parents. Is not to be like my father and not to deal with a woman like my mother, which segues into the conversation I had with Nathan Palmer, and I hope he's out there listening. Thank you, brother, for your ear. And then I spoke to my older brother regarding the situation. So I've reestablished contact with the young man, and apparently he wants to go forward with the situation and get the issue resolved in terms of paternity. The reason why I'm putting this out there is because everybody born in a certain time period, especially in Black America, if you didn't grow up, whether you're male or female, if you didn't grow up with somebody who taught you how to select an appropriate mate, then we're operating at a deficiency. And I believe I'd spoken about this before. When I turned 30, I went on a dating sabbatical because I had to address not only the kind of women I was choosing, but why. And I think that's something that's lacking with us as a culture, is we don't know what's an appropriate mate for us. And more important, we don't know why we're dating. We're just out here like rudderless ships doing what we can because we can, with no structure. So that's just something I wanted to put out there. It's going to be hard for, I think it's harder for a woman just because of the way they're structured in terms of their thought process. They don't necessarily use logic. This is why you always hear a lot of dating coaches talk about you have to learn game. And for people that don't know what game means, it means you have to learn how to talk to women to seduce her and be the kind of man that she wants to have sex with, not necessarily marry and create a family with. And that leaves us to where we are in terms of Black America, with all the fatherless homes, the single parent homes, the broken communities. So it's a dynamic that isn't addressed much because it's considered taboo to talk about these type of things, because who are we to police somebody's sexuality? When we start to look at it, that is at the crux and the crossroads of so many issues and ills in our communities and homes.
All right, well, we might as well get ready to dive into this subject matter again.
Deep dive.
So the question was, do women without fathers in their life truly know what a real man is? Because this has been the common theme going on. Real man, real woman.
Real man.
Strong woman, independent, all of this stuff, whatever, about this realness. But we really know there's no such thing as reality. It's only perception. Everybody perception may be different. That's their reality.
Yeah.
So what you may think is a real man or a real woman, the next person may say that doesn't cut it for me. That's not what I think a real man or real woman. So we're going around having these debates and all that stuff, but it's all, it's all based on perception. So who wants to have at this one first?
Ladies,
I'll take a go at it. No, I don't know how much I can say. I was raised with my father, so there's that. But having been raised with my dad, and according to me, he set the moon and the stars in the sky. So I really can't say that I go around talking about what a real man is. Because everybody's personality is different. So is it really appropriate to even step in that realm and say, well, you're not a real man, or if you were a real man, you do this or you do that. No, I like things done this way. Either that's compatible with how you are or it's not. It's not about whether or not you're a real man, because another woman might love the way you do things. They might not like the things that I would prefer a man do. So I guess in my mind, when I think about it, I think that's probably true. The idea that women that weren't raised with fathers probably don't have a good perception of men. They don't really have a good basis to make those kind of statements off of. Mm-hmm. Anyway, those are my thoughts.
All right.
I feel like again, I'm one that was raised with a father, still has my father. So it's hard to speak on something that you haven't necessarily experienced, but I feel like most females that grow up with the father, an active father, a father that treats them the way they should be, have a standard. And I think based on this, I guess, statement, um, it's believed that women that haven't been raised with the father don't really know where that standard is or doesn't have that line or standard, which to me isn't really, can't really be true because anybody could be a father figure to her or have been a father figure to her, or she can decide at any point in her life what's the standard of a man that she wants. So just because she hadn't had that male figure in her life, that may have cultivated something in her that says, okay, if I were to date a man, I want this, I want that, I want this and this, I want that because I haven't had that. So her definition of a real man still can be her definition. It doesn't mean it's not valid. That's just her standard of what kind of man she wants or don't want. The same with the woman that does have a father.
Yeah, I agree with you, Shaughnessy, but I also feel like the wording comes from that absence. The whole idea of a real man to do this or a real man would do
But
that.
see, that's again,
And
that's that title.
it's really just what Shaughnessy said. It's about your standards, and your standards and somebody else's standards might be totally different. If that man doesn't fit your standards and he's not a good fit for you, it doesn't make him any less of a man.
Real man, right. Real man.
Exactly.
And I think we talked about this last week when we were talking about titles. And I said to you, I said, if we take titles away and just gave that person, this is my man or you're my woman, and we're going to grow and be together, whatever the case may be, you have a certain standard, and that standard or that description of what your real man is. And when you say real man, you're saying the real man for you. When you're saying that, you're saying is it based on the father that you had? So you had an example of how he treated your mom. So you might say, well, that's how I want my man to treat me. So you're going to look at certain things that he did, or you may look at certain things he did and say, well, I don't want a man that's going to do these things, so you're basing it off of something you've seen or someone you've been experienced with. A lot of people who I saw commenting on that subject, a lot of them, you could kind of tell that they weren't raised in a household with a male father, father figure in the household, because some of the way they kept saying a real man is this, a real man, and they were given this all out description over.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
Yeah, basically.
I disagree with that.
What?
That what?
I disagree with that.
What you agree with there?
Because my cousin was raised. My uncle was a very good man, and I just had this conversation with her today, and she's always talking about real man, real man. So I ended up telling her, I said, "So are you telling me your two kids' father is a fake man?" I just need to know. And she was like, "What do you mean by that?" I mean, because you keep saying a real man. So are you saying because you're not with them anymore? So were they fake men and you're waiting for the real one to come? I just need to know, because when you say this, you're saying it with some type of authority as if you have already dealt with fake men.
Or if you're a man, and you know how to be a real man.
Or you're a man, right?
I was posting that earlier because I had actually said what you just said, because somebody was posting something about giving a real man sex or something. I said, so what do the fake men get? If only the real men are entitled to sex and being in a relationship, then what do the fake men get? And how do you determine the fake from the real? But like you said, she grew up with a father in her household, and for whatever reason, she didn't get someone like her father. She did the total opposite, apparently, that she got with someone who wasn't a real man. The real man that she was surrounded by. She didn't, for whatever reason, maybe that father was strict to her.
Right.
Sometimes you have a father.
I don't even know if it's right. I don't even know if it's the whole thing of real man fake man.
There's
I
no such
think
thing.
when I hear women say that, I'm like, oh, she bitter.
Mhm.
Because I
Mhm.
mean, and that's immediately what I
Some
think
dude
when
made
I
her
hear a
mad.
woman be like, oh, I need a real man. Okay, so you bitter, you mad. Why don't you
Yeah.
heal from the previous man before you try to expect this new man to come in? So
Yeah.
my
But
thing,
you know,
I'm like Christina. I was blessed. I had a stepfather and my father, and I had 7 uncles. So I was raised around
you had
very strong
examples.
men that worked very hard, that had hard work ethics. And they also taught me that what you expect from a man is what you will get from a man. If you don't
Mm.
expect nothing, you're
No
not getting
expectations.
anything.
That's right.
Okay. So, and I was also raised with them to say, you need to pave your own way. There is nothing wrong with you paving your own way. So if that man walks out of your house, you got to be able to sustain your
Still can take
household.
care of yourself. That's right.
Okay. So my thing is when I see women like the post I seen today about all that, what you do with a man, I'm like, girl, go to sleep, wake back up, take the
I
nipple
know
off
you
your
ain't
mouth,
talking about busy, breezy.
Have
I know
somebody-
you ain't talking about breezy.
whatever, have somebody birth you and go back and take the bottle again until you finish getting all the nourishments you need of life. Because some statements are just pure ignorance and some statements are attention seeking. And so I've recognized that. So some things I just don't even entertain. I'll comment and I'm done because I feel like if the conversation is too loquacious, at some point somebody gonna sound stupid like the person that put the comment up. So I just refuse to entertain that. Okay. So however, when we talk about real men, fake, you got to also say where the real women at. I think oftentimes women are so quick to emasculate and demote men and put them down because you don't get what you expected. Half of the time, you do not get what you expected because you don't know what you want. And when you don't know what you want, you can't walk in there expecting something when you don't even know what you want.
Right.
And see, for me, I don't know if men really use that. You're not a real woman or whatever.
They
No,
don't
that's a
use,
woman's
y'all
thing.
don't use
Yeah,
that.
I've heard men
That's a
use
woman's thing.
You heard man
But you
use
know
it.
what? A lot of
I
times,
But those
not
but those men that use
not
it,
in
they bitter
mass,
too,
but I've
Christina.
heard
They
yeah,
bitter.
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was just about to say
But you-
that I've heard
But you know
bitter
what?
men,
You know what? Most of the men that
or
you hear,
manipulative men. I've heard.
yeah, and
Right.
that's what I was gonna say. Most of
Narcissistic
the men
men.
that you hear, most of the men that you hear using that, or most of the women that you hear using that, is like what we were just talking about earlier. When they have nothing else to argue and
Yeah.
can't no other rational argument, they'll say, "Well, you ain't a real man.
Right.
You're not a
Then
real
they
They
man."
want to call
weaponize
you a
it.
B,
Correct.
call you out
It's
your
a way of
name.
trying to demasculate the man or
Very
demasculate,
much.
or make the woman feel belittled by throwing that out there. And then how do you defend yourself against that? Oh, yes, I am. No.
You
No,
no,
that's
you
how
don't
you-
defend. You
stupid.
can't defend stupid. You
Right, and that's
can't
what I'm saying.
defend stupid.
But that's how that's what they throw out there when they can't address the conversation, because we were just talking about that earlier. When they run out of things that's rational in that conversation and they can't feel that they're not going to win the conversation, they find a way to attack. And that's an attack word. Oh, you're not a real man. A real man wouldn't do this. A real man wouldn't do that. And then, like you said, certain guys that are hurt, they've learned that because the women have done that to them and said that to them. So now they throw it back at them. Again, throwing that hurt. You're throwing the hurt out there because you don't know how to have a conversation with a person and work through your differences. So now you're throwing daggers and trying to belittle each other, which keeps that animosity and that division in the relationship.
I just know that that girl is shaking the table. Okay. And it is so
But it's just like Annetta said. I saw the post and I immediately knew and understood what she was talking about because at that particular age
I must have missed that.
and growth and development.
Girl, you ain't missed nothing. It's like listening to the rap music and you don't know what they saying. That's what it's like.
And that's exactly it's where they are
It's
in
entertainment.
their
Yeah.
well, it's no. For us it is, but not for her and people who walk that path. They're down
It
for that
wasn't
particular.
entertainment. Well, if it wasn't entertainment for her, the girl was attention seeking. She was trying to see who was gonna bite.
Mhm.
Well, let's
You don't think
let's.
that's entertainment? You
But
don't
hold
think
on,
Girl,
let's.
that ain't entertainment. That's she trying to fulfill a cash app.
Mm.
Oh,
Please.
well,
I'm not going that far. I'll let you say that. What I was going to say is, for that age demographic right now, that's how they're potentially behaving.
what's
I
her
don't
age
know. I don't.
demographic? Don't generalize now.
What
Uh-oh.
happened? What said?
When did I general? Hold on. How old is she?
I don't know. I don't know.
See, so now I'm gonna pull your card again. You're jumping in here. You don't know what you're talking about. She's in her mid-20s.
She's huh?
In her mid-20s.
Okay, so when you go age demographics, what's your? Do you separate 20s and 30s? Because usually they do mid-20s to 30s.
What portion of 30s?
It don't matter. I'm just getting there, so.
And that's what I'm. Do you do the same thing at your age that you did at 23?
No, absolutely not.
So you're not in that age demographic.
Right.
That's how you just look at it like that.
Mid 20s is not 23, but we're gonna go with it next.
That's what I'm saying. So what she's doing is age appropriate behavior.
Okay.
So I don't even try and police that. I just understand what it is, because there's a point in time where most of us anyway who are in our early 20s to mid 20s, we thought, hey, look, I'm gonna go out here, I'm gonna blow Shorty back out all night. She thinking, hey, look, I'm gonna go out here and service my man anytime he want it, however he want it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just where they are. Because once she gets on the other side of 35, she's probably gonna say what Annetta's thinking. Ain't nobody got time for that. We out here doing different things. We out here trying to stack our money. We out here trying to get home set so we can pass on things to the next crop of kids. It doesn't make it wrong. It's just where they are.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I didn't understand, like with older people going back and forth with her to turn to being a personal attack. She's 24.
Yeah.
She's 24 years old.
She your kid.
I missed her age. I really did. I think it's hilarious though. Despite I think the reaction that she's able to pull out of people, I think it's funny. Like I think it's hilarious.
It was.
I don't understand
why she's getting like she's getting. Oh my gosh, it's entertainment.
It hit. Oh yeah, did it ever hit? I saw it. I was like, uh-oh. I was like, they gonna have a field day with this one.
I said they having fun. All right. She said, if you got some work to do while you on the computer, I want to say, and why you on it?
She ain't got no work to do.
Don't have no work.
Y'all going back and forth.
Exactly.
No, she was going back and forth with them. She was going back and forth with them. It was funny.
Well, see, the thing is, I kind of encouraged her to post because I wanted a younger perspective. So she wasn't really for it. And I said, go ahead, say what you got to say. That's what we do in the counselor's corner. Post it. Mm-hmm. She gave her perspective. It was nothing that I didn't think it would be. I'm like, that's her age. She's gonna say that's her lingo. She's gonna say that, and it just rubbed people. I don't know. It got under their skin, rubbed them the wrong way, and they didn't stop and think. Say, oh, she's younger. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to take a step back. I have to do it at work. I have to do it at work and say, damn. Let me take a step back because I can roast this kid, but then I understand where they're coming from, their situation, and then all of a sudden I just chill, whatever. And sometimes you just gotta fall back in. But people got, as they say, so triggered that they was just going in. I'm like this don't even make sense at this point.
That don't even have nothing to do with the post or the comment. Like, why now y'all seeming like y'all just hating and y'all insecure and y'all just taking it to a whole another place.
In all honesty, that's a part of what it is. A lot of people they don't feel they should or they don't want to, and it all comes down to choice. If you don't want to do something, you don't have to do it. If you don't feel you have to do something, don't do it. She wasn't putting it out there to tell people that you need to do this. She was just saying, hey, this is how I funk in my world. And I'm okay with that. I've hung out with people that smoke weed, be sitting in the cipher, and I was one of the cats that hung out but didn't smoke. And the people that didn't know me, they would look at me sideways. They would say, yo, what's with your man? They say, yo, he cool. He just don't smoke. But for people that's abnormal to, they looking at that strange. So, I mean, everybody is in some way, shape, or form, we're all nuanced in our behavior. That's what Christine was saying, you know, with everybody's different. We all have our own standards. And sometimes we see something or someone and we want to make them conform to our standards and they buck that. So if you don't have the skills to navigate that, the first thing you do is attack it because you're trying to get something from them. As opposed to just saying, okay, you know what, that's not for me. Let it go and let me move on to the next watering hole. And that takes a certain self-mastery to understand that. And usually you don't see that in younger people. You don't see that in a lot of older people as well. That's why when certain situations arise and you see people that are able to let me not say manipulate. You see people who are able to navigate certain waters, people turn around and just say, yo, how'd you do that? Because see, I couldn't have done that. And we hear that a lot. I'm not built for that. I couldn't do this or I couldn't do that. Because they realize that some streams aren't meant for them to swim in. They stay out of those streams. They go to what they know.
I think I saw the post y'all were talking about. I just looked through there and saw. I think I knew what y'all talking about now.
So
okay, I didn't see that post. I missed that today.
Yeah, it's been on fire. It's been on fire.
I saw the comments.
I think if she posted it without posting a picture of herself,
yeah, I think that was the issue too.
I think that's the issue too. I think that was the issue too. People wouldn't have been as angry.
They jealous. A lot of folks jealous. They see all that going on.
They would not have given her that much.
See her really speak. She knew that the headshots were deceiving, so she gave you full Monty.
Yeah, that body shot. That's right. Don't show that head. That's right. That's right. She can back up what she presents.
But the thing is, she was talking about natural, whatever, and I'm like, well, you are not naturally blonde.
No, I saw that too.
Well, she did post a picture with her real hair. Like
she did. I saw that.
Yeah.
But what describes natural? Because I didn't. Oh, yeah, you did say. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
She's not naturally blonde. She's not, and that's not her hair. That was weave. So my thing is,
her body is not natural.
So don't say you do. No. You got to look at her previous picture. She had work done.
But I mean, it looks nice. Though.
Oh, okay.
It looks great. She looks great. I'm not knocking.
The picture I just saw. I didn't go through her stuff yet. I got to go look through it.
I'm not gonna knock her at all. She looked great.
Oh, okay. Do black men prefer natural hair or weave? I'm all natural, by the way.
It don't matter to me. If you take care of it, it don't matter.
Yeah, but I guess our definitions of natural doesn't.
What's natural nowadays?
Right, because I can't say, "Oh, I'm all natural and I got lashes on," so
yeah,
they're not mine.
That was something I asked my.
And then you'll hear somebody also respond, "Well, I bought them; they mine."
Right?
So it's always that response.
I asked my ex years ago when we were together, if men preferred natural to weave, makeup, the whole bit, right? Mm-hmm. And he told me, said, honest to God, Chris, we just wanted to look good.
Yeah. As long as it look nice, that's all that matters.
See, my thing is this, and it's just my thing. I have a hard time understanding, like, you can't have this short hairstyle one day, then your hair down to your ass, the next day. I just
Yes,
like,
you can. Yes, you
I
can.
Yes, you
just,
can.
I just
Yes,
have a
you
hard
can.
That's a
time.
versatility.
Look it.
Yeah,
Hold
I
on,
just have a hard
because
time
I do
figuring
it.
that out, man.
Look, I got 26 inches on right now. Tomorrow I may decide that I'm going to line it up and wear it bald.
I just,
Hey, listen, you know what Megan Stallion said? Change your hair up, make him think that he cheating. Hello.
To me that would be like me, the gray beard. Then all of a sudden, the next day is jet black. It just don't seem authentic, right? It just don't seem right to me. Whatever. That's me. It just don't seem right.
I don't have a problem with. I used to I've never had a problem with weave or real hair or whatever. And then
So
even with my wife, when my ex-wife rather, she actually had real long hair. Her hair was long like Christine's hair, but because we used to go so much, she asked me, would I mind if she got the weave, so that way she could get because we were going and she tried to do her hair. And it would take so long, we'd be late a lot of times. So she ended up, and she was like, "Would you mind if I got weaved?" So that way,
wear some get up and go hair, like
exactly. And so she said, "I'm gonna get it and get it done, and then let you see, and then let me know what you think. And then if you like it, then I'll go with that." And so that's how we end up. So I didn't have a problem with it, as long as it looks nice and decent. But when you start throwing all them colors and strands and all that crazy in there.
But see, Willie, she asked for your opinion. She asked for your opinion. A lot of times these women like, I ain't got to ask no man how my hair. I do this for me. I do this for me, and all of that stuff. Hogwash, bullcrap.
But they can, and they do. So
and they do.
I think
and sometimes,
I don't know.
Sometimes they should consider what the man thinks, especially if they're going to be in a relationship. If they're in a relationship,
I was just about to say,
you should consider
what kind of relationship
your man, right? You're representing him, and he's representing you if y'all together. So for y'all going out, he decided to take you out to his company dinner, and you decide to pop out with a blonde with red streaks and some craziness, and one side shaved off and the other side with, all that crazy.
He's mad as hell the whole time driving there. Like, look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
Exactly.
We ain't going nowhere. If that's me, we ain't going nowhere. I'm calling them. I'm not gonna be able to do. I can't make it. Something came up.
What I dislike about this is gonna be a generalized statement. A lot of men claim this. I don't want the blue and black and the blonde and the this and the one day is this and one day is that.
I know where you're going with the shot.
And a lot of times when these men are in long-term relationships and they cheat or leave their women,
come on, girl, you're preaching.
Woman that they
was going with this.
Don't want. So
with the blonde and the blue and all that stuff,
or is naked on the internet and all that other and you like, if I would have even tweeted this line, you would have lost it.
But you think about it, what they're doing is they're doing something with somebody who they wouldn't be with. So they're not trying to be out seen with them. They're going to take you out. They're going to be you. You're that person that
I can't buy that excuse.
No, but I'm just telling you. I'm telling you, that's what it is. You're gonna have that woman that image that you want. This is the kind of woman I want. Like you say, freak in the bedroom, and a lady in the street and a freak in the sheets. So he's gonna have you out there in front with him, at that lady out in the street with him when he's seeing. They know you're his woman, but behind closed doors, he's gonna get that freak, that crazy broad, that because at the bottom line is it's not that same emotion he's gonna have with her that he has with you. He probably doesn't have any emotion with her. It's all about a fantasy. It could be a fantasy. Women do the same thing.
Let me see.
When I was younger, somebody dropped a birdie to me, right? And told me something about my kid's father. And I was like, really? So I went on the I lied to you not. I went to the person's page. I saw the blue wig. I said, "Oh, girl, he ain't messing with her." And when girl let it sell right along. He was messing with that girl for years. Had the birdie, everything. So I looked. I was like, all right. Anyway, next.
Let me see if I can paint a different picture for the women because I'm reading some of the comments and there's some pushback against this. Imagine if you go into a formal event and the man that you're going with, it's suit and tie. He wants to wear skinny jeans and sneakers. How are the women gonna react to that?
Some will go along with it.
Oh, I'm gonna outfit check my my person anyway.
Well, y'all gonna already buy him a damn outfit and have it laid out like this. What you gonna wear?
Outfit check. Everybody getting outfit checked.
Say that again. I'm gonna lay that outfit out. You're not gonna.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna look crazy.
But see, that's the equivalent of what men are talking about with the hair. That's why I use that, because women feel they can do whatever they want to with their hair. So if that's going to be the standard that you're setting, then why can't a man do what he wants to with his clothing?
You know,
Mic drop. Mic drop.
Yeah,
I'm sitting there reading this post.
If you're going around, if you're going,
I'm reading this post. You can change your clothes. So what's the difference in changing your hair? Irrational thinkers.
But now you see why I use that, Willie.
Two totally different things, which is what you just said.
I think so the kind of the difference or the caveat for what Herb is saying. So if we're going to a function for your job or whatever, I would think that you're like, okay, this is something for my job. I need you to dress and look more conservative. And if the person has a problem with that, you ain't going.
But you know what, too, Christine?
But on either side, whether it's the man or the woman, but
you have to look at the person's.
I don't like skinny jeans on men. But it's not my place to tell a man, even if I'm with him, don't wear those jeans.
Right. But
you got to convince him out of them.
You also have to look at a person's
that
background.
Would be one of those things like, baby, we need to go shopping for clothes to wear.
I think your feet look a little.
And I'm gonna say this, you have to look at a person's background. You have to look at a person's background. If that was their style, dressing in skinny jeans, or when she got ready to go out to an event, she put on her best weave and her best lashes and her
orange hair and her
best So in her mind, he's saying, I'm taking you to my job, and it's a dressy event. That's her dressy. You know what I mean? She doesn't see it as anything wrong, because
we're going shopping for something appropriate for you to wear to my job function.
Yeah, but most people don't think to do that, though. Like what you're saying,
if a person dresses, if you typically don't like the way a person dressed, but you're with them anyway, I would think in your own best interest, you would outfit check before the event.
Let me follow.
I agree with you.
Hold up. Let me follow. Go ahead, Willie.
1 second. Because if you've ever gone to a black tie event and you tell a person it's a black tie event, and you go there and you see people dressed up, I mean, how people are dressed, not dressed up. When you go to a black tie event means you're wearing a tuxedo with
it's a formal event.
But depending on your background, you think dressed up. You go to black tie events now, you see people with skirts on, and skirts aren't black tie events. You're supposed to be having a long gown with shoes. You know what I mean? It's a certain attire. But if you've never experienced and don't have that background, you're wearing what you think is a nice outfit.
But that's why you outfit check.
That's why you outfit check.
And I'm checking. They don't know they don't understand what black tie is.
I'm not checking if I know this person is knows how to
you have to look at
KYP.
And some
There you go. There you go, Jonathan.
I was just gonna say that.
I'm not checking, but if I've got any reason to be apprehensive, I'm checking.
I know for
But
sure
that's-
mine
you're supposed
right
to.
now, the one that I'm with,
And if
I am we are outfit
if I
checking.
don't approve of it,
Every
you're not
time.
going with me.
Yeah.
Every
Because you
time
wanna
we are
make
outfit
sure.
checking.
But
Each
you
and
know
every
what?
time.
Also, conversation, which is what I talk about all the time. Conversation and communication. If you're sitting down and you're talking to that person and getting an understanding of who they are, their background, how they are, and watching how they present themselves. When y'all say let's go out to dinner, and he throwing them same skinny jeans and maybe a jacket or something, and y'all go out to dinner and you don't have a problem with it. So now he's saying, okay, let's go to my company event, and he throwing them same skinny jeans and that jacket, and then you have a problem with it. Now he's got a problem because, like, wait a minute, we just went to dinner. I took you
The
to this
precedent's been set, correct?
And you can have an issue with it, but now I'm going to your job, and now you got a problem. You know what I mean? Because to them, in their mind, that was the same dress up. So you have to really understand. Like, you have to look at a person's background and talk with them and understand them, and you do that before you go to that business event or that black tie event. So that way, when you do say, let's go shopping and get some things that will fit in. So when we go to my company's event this summer or this winter or whatever, we'll have something that you can wear that would really look nice for that event. That feels a lot better to that man or that woman versus the day before she comes out and show you what she's wearing or he's wearing, and you're like, oh, we need to go shopping. Now he's offended. Now you got to add
and see for me,
that's what I said. No matter who it is.
And see for me,
oh, go ahead.
If for me, I would want to like run it by my woman. Like, how this look? I was thinking about wearing this. How do you think this work out? Or what's your opinion on this?
Right.
I would kind of value that, and it would mean something to me. Or if she knows my style, she'll say, "Oh, don't worry, I'm going out, whatever. I'm gonna pick up this, or I'm gonna get this for you, whatever, because I know your style." KYP.
Right.
I know who I'm dealing with. I know your
Right.
style. I'm not gonna make you wear nothing that you are uncomfortable wearing with. And
oh no,
think,
you're gonna
like
be
you said,
uncomfortable because
And you know what,
nowadays.
You know what, Dave? Because and if she knows you, she may not ask you, like you said, not ask you what you're wearing, but she might say, "Well, what color you wearing?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you get that a lot from a woman. She'll say, "Well, what color you wearing?" Because now she's going to try to coordinate.
Yeah, it doesn't
with
want
what
to
you're
wear
wearing.
something that clashes.
Right.
And like
Something
Christina,
right. It's going to coordinate with that. Without
like
because she's not worried about what you're wearing. She just wants to make sure that she coordinates her outfit so y'all come in there on the same page. In the same whatever.
Let her go. She's been trying to get in.
Go ahead, Annette. I'm sorry.
Like Christina was saying, I was dating this guy who he worked at a plant, so he didn't dress up every day. He wore sweats, t-shirt, baseball cap, stuff like that. And I was getting honored. It was actually 2 events I was getting honored at in 1 year. And we had just started dating. I seen he had came to church a couple times. He would have a polo shirt on, some khaki pants. And he wasn't a dress up guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that was his dress up. So we went to a concert and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna wear this to the concert." I was like, "Nah, babe, you're not wearing that to the concert." And he was like, "What?" I was like, "Cause I'm dressing up. And he was like, "Well, come on, we can go to United Men's." "Nah, babe, we not going to United Men's either."
United Men.
I was like, "No, we're not doing that."
It's like the ghetto dress up store.
Listen, I was like, "We're gonna call this guy on Delaware. We're gonna go to this suit guy, and he's gonna hook you up, tailor suit." He was looking at me like, "Yo," and I knew he had the money for it. He was like, "Yo, I ain't never." He walked in there and it was almost like a kid in a candy store. He went for 1 suit and walked out with 4 because he was just so like, "Yo." So sometimes you
like the way it felt,
eyes,
like the way it looked,
right? How it laid on him. And shoot, I was like, we was holding out, not doing nothing. I was like, "Yo, buy that suit right there. You might get some." Nah.
Lord have mercy.
I was going to say,
for real. You have to open. Sometimes you have,
Nothing.
What'd you say? Anyway, sometimes you have to open people's eyes to something different
Yeah.
because they may have not experienced that.
Exactly.
And
That's
you know,
what I'm
even though
talking
him and I didn't last or work out or whatever, he still occasionally come and visit my church, and he looks very, very nice. And he make it his business. He'd be like, "You like these shoes?" I'm like, "Oh, you killing it. You look good." But again, that was something that he was introduced into because
Never
he did not
experienced it,
dress
right.
like that. He had the
Right.
best sneakers, the best fitted caps,
Mhm.
the best
Yep.
jerseys. He
Yep.
had all
Yep.
that. He was sharp and clean all the time, but he just
Yep.
didn't have that stuff. So when he went to a black tie affair that I was getting honored, this ninja had on a tailor-made tux. And I mean, I would say he was
Nice.
to me the best dressed man. I was like, yo, you is killing it out here. So sometimes you have to introduce people to that
Mhm.
world because they're not familiar with that world.
They're not-
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And see to what Christine and Shauna say, and actually another is saying, I've actually remember when you had your book signing, Dave.
Uh-huh.
The individual that I brought there, I actually went out and purchased what she wore
All right.
because she was coming with me, and that's what they're talking about.
Right.
See, I have no problem doing certain things.
Nah, I
with-
ain't purchasing it.
No, I'm gonna do that because that's the type of man I am.
Like showing what to get though.
Now, mind you, it wasn't as if the item was high end, but it's just the point that if a man is going to have a woman represent him, whether she's just going with him, she's his girlfriend or wife, in my opinion, he should take the lead and say, look, this is what I want to see you in, or something like this. So she has a template from which to work from. Because as you're saying, Willie, and as Annetta just said, some people have never been introduced to that world, so they don't know what's appropriate. Or they don't know what's appropriate, and they don't know what your style, personality, and taste is. So sometimes you have to lead them to there and say, look, from these few items, pick. That's what I want to see in.
I understand appropriate, but when you say this is what I want to see you in, that's not dressing her appropriate. That's dressing her to your preference. So that's
Absolutely.
Well, I can
That's
understand
totally
with
different
her.
thing. So now,
with her
so
stance.
I understand what he's saying too, but it's not appropriate for the event. It's his preference for what he wants to see her in that event, representing him. So that
No. What I'm saying is event appropriate. Absolutely event appropriate.
Well, I know you said it's appropriate, but when I'm saying you said it's appropriate, but then you said I want to see you in this, and so
Right.
you basically dressed her the way you
Yes.
wanted to see her in that. That's what I said. So even though you're saying it's appropriate for that event, you really weren't dressing her appropriately for the event. You were dressing her in what you wanted to see her in.
No. I gave her options to choose from.
Yeah,
She picked the item.
based on your preference of what you want to see her in.
No.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's not a
Maybe,
bad
maybe
thing.
it's-
maybe it's the body type. You may say, "Oh, if we're gonna be out tonight, I want to see you in this." You just want
Yeah.
to be,
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
you wanna
Yeah,
be-
It wasn't like she pulled out 3 dresses and said, "Which one do you like?" Based on her preference. You
No, she
pulled out the
did.
dress
No,
picked
she did.
from these- No, you said she picked. You said you picked them out and showed her.
The places that we went to, about 3 or 4 different places, looked online. I said, let's go here. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. Try this, and this on.
Right. That's
So,
what
yes.
you just told her what to try on, what to put on.
Well,
Because
I mean, if she was
because she
that
wasn't
I don't see
sure.
nothing wrong
and
with
she
that.
must have been she must have felt comfortable.
She
with
was in
what he
agreement with him,
selected.
right?
Right,
I don't see nothing wrong
But
with
he's
that.
still
Willie,
saying
stop.
that he's still saying that he picked those
Willie being
outfits
petty.
out
Yeah.
based on 2 things. They were event appropriate
for
and they
real.
looked nice on the lady. Am I
Right. Right. I didn't
So
tell her
I
you
don't
had
see
to
a
wear
problem
this.
with that.
I'm
I
saying,
have more of a problem with you picking out something for me that's way out of character for me.
Yeah, that's different.
You know,
Right.
that doesn't go with my body type.
right.
You know,
Body type, and that's
like
that's
I don't
pivotal.
know who you're fantasizing about,
Yeah.
but that ain't me.
Yeah, that's pivotal.
I
See,
actually don't see nothing wrong with that, Herb.
No,
I just-
I've done that
I
on
would-
multiple occasions.
I wouldn't
I
probably.
pride myself in
go
being able to
ahead.
pick out clothing for women. That's something I think
I
feather in my
actually-
cap. I'm sorry, Annetta, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I actually love it when a man does that, when they pick out. I mean, my best friend is a male, and me and him just went somewhere this weekend. He was like, "Oh, wear that. That's gonna look good on you." I was like, "Oh, okay." I changed up because men know how they want what they want to see, So I don't have no problem with that. If you be like, "Oh, I'm going to such and such, and I need you to wear this." Well, I know how to dress in every occasion, so that wouldn't be hard for me. But again, huh?
No, you want that woman to look a certain way. You want to be like, damn, marvel at her beauty, like, damn, she looking good tonight, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have that feeling all throughout the night. Like, this is me right here. This is me.
Right.
If she came with something else and she looking frumpy and all that stuff, you're giving her the side eye, like, look at this motherfucker, what she got. And you're gonna be like that the whole night, whatever. And she gonna be like, why you keep looking at me like that? This motherfucker.
Yeah, and honestly, that's why I do it.
Like that,
when you're taking them somewhere and they're not used to. That's when they're not used to dressing appropriate for an event.
And you know the real funny thing about the book signing was she was one of the better dressed women there, and I was catching a whole lot of eye daggers because she wasn't black.
Hold up! You act like my sister and my mother was.
No.
I'm
That was the real funny thing. Is all the eye daggers I was catching, and she was like, "You see this?" I said, "Hey, don't worry about it. You here with me." I said, "You here with me."
We got to go on to the next point. We kind of really didn't go too deep into that. I mean, I think we've been talking about that stuff throughout time, like constantly, whatever. So I think this conversation was important too. But we're gonna move on to the next thing about the dating security, how security minded you are when it comes to dating. Because as you know, Annette always say, them background checks that Google and all that stuff, and
I felt like you made this question for me. You trying to come for me?
No, because actually, Shaughnessy wanted this question from last week with that crazy stuff she had going on.
Because I got tracked and stuff like that and all that other stuff, but I don't think it was anybody that I know.
Really?
Scary though.
Yeah, that's scary if you don't know.
I don't think it was anybody that I know or dealt with or anything like that. I think it was somebody just being weird.
So what is the question?
I'm gonna need you to get you a concealed. I'm gonna need you to get you concealed weapon.
So, I am working on concealed. I have weapons. I'm working on the concealed part.
You're in Virginia, correct?
Yes.
Is Virginia open carry or you have to be concealed?
Open carry.
In all honesty, this is just from my perspective. I wouldn't worry about the conceal. I would open carry.
Which I hear you. My partner.
But she's gonna be limited on. She's gonna be limited on guns.
And where I can go and
where you can go, right? Access
where
to,
I can
right?
go with that weapon.
No. I'm saying if you have open carry right now, open carry. Work on getting the conceal, but you want to open carry so you get accustomed to carrying, because it's hard to go from not carrying to conceal because there's certain things that
No. And I have to express this to my partner as well. Like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna hit somebody or tase them before I shoot them. I'm just saying.
Not shoot them. I'm gonna tell you shoot them.
I agree. I get the point. I'm just saying,
listen,
personally,
you gotta shoot. You gotta shoot. You gotta shoot below here. I'm gonna shoot you.
Me personally, in a situation, I feel like I'm better off with either a taser or hitting somebody. I feel like I'm gonna load the gun and be like, "Don't."
No, you go to proper training and you go to the range and different things like that.
That's what my boyfriend tells me all the time. I just don't know.
You would learn just your incident.
Your camera went out, Shawnee.
You gotta be aggressive about protecting and securing you. And I'm all about that. You know,
before we get to that point, whatever, shooting your date.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Since Dave put me on.
We got a whole new topic now. Shooting your date.
Let's talk about this. So Dave put me on Front Street because I said I do background checks.
But you always been saying that. You should be saying that.
Yes, I do. I do background checks. I pay $89 for a background check, which is a very intensive background check.
Girl,
and I do
need
that.
to give you my website.
And
it's $26.99 a month.
I don't have a problem doing that. I don't do it often, but I do it enough. One reason why it's several reasons why, because I've learned to be financially secure in what I have and what I'm doing. And I have to make sure that anyone that I'm engaging with or even interested in, that I know what I'm dealing with, because people are not as forthcoming as they want to pretend they are. Also, people send their representative. If I'm talking to you and we've had a very imprudent dialogue and some of the information you have given me has become spotted to me, then I'm gonna do my research. And if that research caused that I don't talk to you no more, we go our separate ways, then that already sealed the deal for me. You wasn't the one. And I'm okay, because I can't miss something I ain't never had.
Here you go. Now let me ask you, Anetta, when they do this background check, what all do they give you back in information? What kind of information do they give you?
Criminal record, if they were married, if they were divorced, if they have
traffic licenses, liens.
Yes, liens. Ever got their insurance suspended, their driver's license suspended, if they own property. If they have concealed, all that. How many properties they own.
No, it's necessary.
Different places they may have lived in the last 10 years.
Okay.
Their nearest closest
business too.
Family members. Sometimes you even find out their siblings, but you find out a lot of information. And my thing is, people can't get upset because you're doing that. I'll tell somebody in a minute, you can background check me. Why don't you start with Googling me? Google me first, and then if you don't get all you want to get, then you do a background check. I'm okay with you doing a background check on me. And so when men get offended or feel some type of way because I did a background check, I'm like, okay, so long, bye-bye. If that's a
normally it's because they got something to hide. A lot of them feel violated or feel like you're trying to find something on them.
But my thing is no violation to that, because what's the difference for me paying to do a background check and you going through my Facebook trying to see who we mutual friends with and we connected with? It's the same thing. Only thing is
just a different version of a background check. It's a different background.
What's the difference of you asking, oh, you know such and such? Oh, how do you know them? I've been knowing them for 20 years. And you asking that person, oh, you know Anetta? That's the same thing.
Oh, I ain't asking nobody about no man that I'm trying to date.
Girl, you know I won't even tell who I'm dating. But my thing is like, I don't tell who I'm dating because I'm dating several people. So it's like I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Real cream rises to the top.
I know that's right.
I'm open dating. I'm not, I'm not married, so I'm not, solidified to anyone's relationship or anything like that. I was in a marriage for almost 30 years, so I have not experienced a dating pool. So now I'm comfortable, with the whole thing of dating and whatever. I do want a companion, but I'm not willing to settle or sacrifice myself to have someone.
That companion thing sounds so damn old, like you playing goldfish and all that stuff, whatever.
Yeah, I do want to play goldfish and spades.
I got a question for the ladies. And you actually made me think about it again, Anetta. I was going to ask it last week and I forgot about it. When you said open dating, where you're dating different men, is it okay for that person that you're dating? Is it if you're dating other people, is it okay for them to date other people also?
No, of course not.
Absolutely not.
Yes,
what?
It is.
Yeah, joking, right?
And that's what I thought.
But I don't know. Y'all might be for real.
No, I say it's okay. It's okay if you're dating somebody else. I'm okay with it.
So how
I'm
do
okay
you?
with it.
So how do you become a committed relationship if both of y'all debate dating other people? How do you determine?
You got to get to that level. You get to that level where you get to the place of agreeing that you're going to be an exclusive item.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not married. You not married. We both moving in our facet. But the thing that people upset me about, they think just because you're openly dating, you're having sex with everyone.
Correct.
No, that's not very true.
Right.
My thing is
some people are though.
Yeah, but that's the point. 9 times out of 10, there's one person that you are having relationships with, and the rest of them, they just there.
They're just there. And I said a joke, and my nephew laughed at me. I said, you gotta have the one man for sex, the one man for money, and the one man for appearance.
Why not have a job and do your own?
And then another one for the bills. And why not add another one to go on with? Starting 5.
Yeah, where's the guy
you
that
know
does
what I'm
the
saying?
Handyman work?
I got uncles and brothers.
You gotta hire him.
But I don't see anything wrong with open dating. I think that it should be explored more, because I think a lot of people jump into relationships with these attachments and these expectations, and then they don't get to know the person. Dating is about collecting data. When do you have time to collect data if you already jumping in and buying a wedding dress and trying to pick out the white picket fence? You got to give yourself time to learn this person, to understand this person. My thing is, a lot of times, I have emotional detachment issues. I know I do. I will get emotionally detached at the drop of a hat. I also have ADHD undiagnosed. I get bored too. I'd be like, okay, this is boring. I'm over this. This fulfilled the little temporary emotional set. Okay, I'm done. But again, that's me. You got to know who you are, what you're looking for, what's your expectations at this point in time. I'm okay with turning down what I don't want. I'm quick to friend zone somebody.
Yeah, I was going to say, so when you get bored, you want to friend zone somebody, right?
Yeah, because I don't like having bad relationships. I'll friend zone you.
That was my question, because I often hear women say they're open dating, but then they don't want the man doing the same thing.
Oh, no, I don't have no problem with that.
Right, and that's why I asked that question.
Let me tell you this. So this guy I've been dating, we both ended up at the comedy show on the other day. You know, Willie, they had to. Oh, we were separate. He was with his date. Okay. I was with who I was with.
Okay.
And he was so nervous at the bar, like he didn't know what to. He was like, how you doing, Annetta? I was like, I'm good. How are you? I said, you look great. I said, and your date looked great. He was like, what the? He was like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. He was like, yo, dude, you was like rare. Like, I don't even know. I said, dude, it's cool. It's all good. I said, I'll talk to you soon. But listen, he stared the whole time. He was so uncomfortable. I got up to go use the bathroom. He got up and I seen him coming behind me. He was like, can I talk to you for a second? I said, no, you cannot. It's disrespectful.
You on a date.
You came with a date. You go back and get her. You was not about to sit here and do that with me. I said, that is disrespectful. And you think she ain't catching you side eye and staring at me doing that? I said, don't do her like that. I said, because I guarantee you, if it was me, I'd be on read you and left you. Don't play. Go back in there and sit with your date.
I could understand why he probably want to broach the topic there. Whether it was appropriate or not is a different discussion, because as men, we're conditioned to not do certain things. Whether that was discussed between you and another and that gentleman, I don't know, and that's not my business. What I'm simply saying is, we hear the horror stories of a man who's dated somebody and bumps into somebody else, and next thing you know, his car is keyed, windows broken out, or tires slashed. That's probably what I'm
talking about. No, just
that's probably what he was taken aback about, is do I have to worry about?
And you're right, Herb. I think he was accustomed to that, because the phone call I got today, he was like, yo, I ain't used to that. Like, I was waiting for you to go off on me. I said, but why would I go off on you? We have no relationship. We have no obligation to each other. We have no entitlement to each other. We have nothing. We haven't even been intimate. So why would I be upset because you with somebody? Because we had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 conversations on the phone and a couple of dinner dates. that makes me want it to just be acting out of character and then my emotion. I said, no, dude, that ain't me. I said, I put my emotions in a category. That category with you, we're just platonic friends. That's it.
But that's what so many are used to, is that type of drama.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That drama of, I'm kicking with her, but now I'm out with this chick. Now I got to worry about, like Herb said, her busting my windows out, flattening my tires. I told y'all, I said during this pandemic, I was going out checking my car and checking because somebody kept flattening my tire.
Really? That's why I ride a bike.
Sorry, I'm not
crazy.
What did you do?
He did something.
What did you do to that woman?
He did.
But say, hold on. Willie, don't answer, Willie. Don't answer, Willie, don't answer. Don't answer.
She would leave me, but she didn't want me going to see other people. She would leave and go be with other people.
So were you seeing other people on this girl?
No.
Yes, you was.
That's what I'm saying.
He's lying.
No, I'm telling you.
Oh my goodness! Oh wow!
He lied.
See, that's why I said don't answer Willie. That's why I said don't. Willie. But that's why.
You guys first.
But that's why I said don't.
And I told you, I went through when I went through my divorce. I wasn't seeing anybody, and I met her, and I literally became attached to her. But then, like I said, she kept running off. She kept running off, and because she knew I was going to be there. But then when I realized that
she made sure you was going to be there, she flattened your tires so
you ain't going nowhere tonight.
I got game. I kind of like that.
Sleeping in the parking lot in my building when I come home, waiting for me to come home. All kind of crazy.
That's not. You know
that's what I'm saying.
Sleeping in your what?
That's mental
in
illness.
my parking lot, in my building. I came home and she jumped out. She was sleeping in her car, waiting for me to come home, and jumped out, scared the hell out of me.
Hey, what you do? You let her in, right?
You
let her in the house, right?
Huh?
Did you let her in?
Maybe I was just at work.
Did you let her in?
Did I let her in? Hell no. Oh, hell no.
I think I would have let her in too.
Come on, boo. You scared me. Come on in the house. Let's get something to eat.
Right. Regularly.
Yeah, she's gonna give you some spaghetti, Willie.
I know.
The spaghetti post. The spaghetti.
Now my tires are fine. I don't have any pop-ups anymore. None of that craziness that was going on.
She probably was institutionalized. That's why.
I don't care. Whatever I know, I don't have to work. I mean, literally, I was going out checking my tire every day. I had to leave like a half hour early to make sure I had air in my tire.
So why you parked somewhere else?
I live in a.
She was GPSing it. She knew where he was.
Air tag on this car.
Look for my car. Crazy. That's what I'm saying, man. When I say you living in it was crazy. And like I said, I wasn't. That's what she was seeing other people. I wasn't seeing anybody. And so that's why I asked that question. That's why I asked that question.
Being safe when dating, because that's why I typically don't let people, unless we are a couple. You are not getting ready to know where I live.
Agreed.
We will meet out.
Yeah, that's a huge mistake.
I don't even let a lot of female friends, like I don't do my house unless we're really close. I don't do my house. If I'm
the same way.
No.
So when did y'all let a guy in? Like
after I go to his and after I meet his kids. So now you got something to lose.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I gotta meet your kids. I gotta meet your family members.
Kids?
I'm open.
No, I'm not saying that I have to meet your kids. I'm just joking, but honestly,
I gotta meet people close to you.
Right. And I just feel like it depends on the people. Immediately. It depends on, like, do you have some? I've learned this in the past 3 years. I only deal with people that also have things to lose, that don't have time for the foolishness.
Yes. Say that.
Yeah. So it's learning that discernment and who to deal with initially, whether it works or not, and figuring that part out. But even outside of that, I mean, I've dealt with people that I would have never thought, and they actually do have stuff to lose. I know somebody that's still in jail. So yeah. So I've learned some lessons, I will say. But
Can't say I've ever been there.
It's so like Anetta said, she does background checks, but the thing is, it's so scary nowadays because people do have such.
And this person doesn't even have this type of stuff on a background check. And one reason why I made sure I buckled down and did everything I had to do, which it was even so annoying because it was a year after and I was still going to court behind it. Wow. I was actually in my current relationship and I was still dealing with stuff from this past relationship. This person had done it before, never had anything on his background check because nobody ever went that far.
Oh, they never pursued it all the way.
Yeah, because they make you go. When I say they make you go through so much, they make you go through some. And then another thing that I think is really, really crazy, and I went to therapy behind this too. They make you watch that body cam footage over and over and over.
Really?
Yes, and it's sick.
Wow,
it is sick. Yes.
Yeah, so it makes you reluctant to follow through with stuff, and that's kind of what they do. Is they do those things to make
you gotta take days off of work, and then they're like, "Oh, well, we can put you in witness protection, girl." Like I have a whole life. Like I have a whole life.
Okay. Right yeah, now you can't do the things you used to do anymore. No, that's crazy.
Right.
So, what's your take on double dates to get to know somebody?
I think double dates are distraction.
Being two women together,
I think double dating is a distraction because what happens is you're engaged in a 4-way conversation that really needs to be a 2-way conversation.
Yeah. I'm not
so, and then what happens on the double date is you may not believe the process of dating that this other person may be projecting. You know, I went on a double date one time at Kelly's Corner on Delaware with this guy and one of my friends and her soon to be. Hotspot. Yeah, it is. It was close to home.
Yeah.
And so this, you know, they soon to be married, and the guy I was with, he knew they was about to get married, and his whole conversation was like, "Yeah, I would love to marry Anetta." And I'm looking at him like, dude, I've been talking to you for like 5 weeks. What are you talking about?
What's your last name?
And because my mouth is saucy. I know it's saucy. I looked at him and was like, okay, we're going to stop holding this entertaining conversation about you and I get married. Like, I don't even know absolutely nothing to retain any information about you even being my man. So let's stop having this conversation. So it was very uncomfortable for me because I get uncomfortable quick. And when I get uncomfortable, I shut down and I either will leave or I'll ask, you know, can you drop me off? You know, whatever. So for me, double dating is very awkward and uncomfortable because there's conversations that you're not prepared to have and they become open forum conversations for the 4 of you. So double dating for me would be a no.
I got a question. When you say double dating, is that like the first date or like double dates period?
No, I think it's like one of the first dates, whatever. Like trying to get to know somebody, but you're using that as a security measure because you're worried about like being alone.
The last
with
double date I went on was so awkward that I don't know if I want to do it again. They started beefing for some reason.
The guys?
No. The other couple. And then the girl walked away, and I'm just like,
wow.
And then it was at night. We was going to a comedy show. So I'm telling my partner, I'm like, go get her. And he like, no. And I'm like, you can't let her walk away like that. He like, that's his girl. And I'm like, go get her. So then he went down the street, go get her. And she's like, she got in the car with one of her homegirls. She said she leaving. But it was only like 5 minutes. So it's like, okay, this was already planned. So then he was kind of salty the whole time. And not a bad salty. It was just like he was our third wheel. So it was.
So he ended up staying with y'all the whole time?
Yeah, we bought a section at a comedy club.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was just.
So he had to stay there.
Well, he didn't necessarily have to, but it was super weird.
I'd have murked.
It was super weird.
I've gone on double dates like later after been dating a person for a while. We've gone out with their friends and things like that. But I did go on a double date one time with somebody who I had been dating a little bit. And we went out on a double date, and she got offended because she said I was paying more attention to the other couple.
To the other woman?
No, the couple in general, not just the woman, but I was talking more to them than I was to her. And so she was sitting there with an attitude the whole night because she said I was right. I was paying, I was paying more attention and holding more conversation with the other couple. And it kind of threw me off because I was talking to everybody, but if I'm having a conversation and
she must have wanted it to just be you and her.
And then that's what it was. That's what it was. She didn't, and that's how it is, when you feel left out of the conversations or you're talking about something that you're not familiar with and you don't really have anything to say. So now, of course, I'm not saying too much to her because we're talking about something that she's not into, but, I might turn and say something to her to kind of add her to it. But because, again, she didn't have any input or she just shut herself out of it, it just made it more obvious. And I saw the attitude, but, I wasn't going to feed into the attitude. I just, kept trying to socialize with everybody and with her. But I try not to do double dates unless I have to.
Everybody is already acclimated too.
Yeah. I try not to do double dates because it just becomes, I don't know. I've had that one bad experience, and I'm like, I don't have time to be arguing with people. I don't like arguing. I prefer not to argue. And if I got to argue with you, then I know we're not going to be together too much longer.
For what argument?
I don't do that. My
tolerance for nonsense is one time, and I'm done.
What if it's a valid I don't know, a valid
argument?
Disagreement. Yeah, everybody's not going to agree 100% of the time. That's just reality.
That's why you hear what I always say: communication and conversation. If you're constantly talking to that person and communicating with that person, how your date or your mate feels about certain things,
right?
And he knows how you feel about certain things, and there's certain things he's not going to do because he knows that's going to tick you off, and there's certain things you're not going to do or say, especially out in public.
Right.
Men do not operate that way. Men do not operate that way.
Sure they do. Like I said, we think about the things we do before we do them. So we know if we say certain things, we know that we're
going to cause something
from you. We're looking for a reaction from you or something, or for the reason why we said it. We're not just saying just to be saying. We pick our words. We pick our words wisely. We know what we're doing. And
I have zero time.
Most of the time, they knew. If they say they didn't know, they lying.
I have zero tolerance, but I have zero tolerance for arguing. I just simply put, I don't. We can have a discussion, but as soon as there's as soon as there's a raising of the voice, it's over.
Yeah.
You go your way, I'm going mine.
Two things I don't do. I don't argue and I don't lie. And I tell people all the time, I said, I don't lie. I will never lie to you. If you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you the truth. Now you got to be ready for the truth. Because I tell people all the time, it's easier for me to remember the truth than it is to remember what I lied to you about. You ask me something, and if I told you the truth, you can ask me anytime, any way you ask me, and it's going to come out the same answer. But if I tell you a lie, I got to remember what I lied to you about. I ain't got time to be trying to remember what I lied about.
Yeah.
I'm going to lie to the cops, and I'm going to remember to lie too.
Yeah. That's too much energy. I don't believe in deception. I'm not going to deceive you. I'm not. If I got to lie, if I feel I got to lie to you to be with you,
I agree.
I don't need to be with you.
I agree with
I don't
that.
lie. That's one thing I don't do. I don't lie. And like I said, I tell people I've dated, and they'll tell you, I don't lie. I don't cheat because I don't want to do anything to you that I don't want you doing to me. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to cheat on you.
What's your definition of cheat?
Huh?
Like,
and if I feel like I got to cheat, I'm leaving. No, but if I feel like I got to cheat, I'm leaving.
I'm messing.
I hear you. But those are just, that's just the way I am. I'm not like everybody else. Some people do those things. But like I said, for me, I don't. One thing I really hate is liars. That's something that really kills me is liars. And so for me, I'll tell you the truth, and I can always, no matter how you ask me, it'll always be the same answer, or same response, or same situation. I can tell you word for word, because when it's the truth, it's always going to come out the same way.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna move on to the third one. Have you ever dated a coworker? Please share your experience.
So y'all remember that person that I said I just had to go to court for?
The one is in jail.
Ah, sucks.
The hell did he do?
I gotta remember which coworker I dated.
What else? What didn't? Stalking, breaking and entering.
Oh damn.
Assault and battery. What else am I trying to remember? I think that was it. I think it was like 8 years. He got like 8 years, 3 suspended. Damn. Yeah, it was a lot.
Really?
So
how long had y'all been dating?
Yeah. So initially, how did this come about?
Not even a whole year. Not a whole year.
You turned that dude out.
Why did his behavior change like that?
She turned him out.
Sunshine.
He turned him out. Giving him something he can feel.
Really?
Go ahead, Stacey. Go ahead, girl.
I think I just wasn't trying to the more you get to know somebody, the more you see some of their isms and things and situations, and it just wasn't working for me. We had a situation where he got upset and he started throwing stuff around.
Oh hell! Time
and
to
I
go.
was just like, So his own child, told her mother what had happened, and her mother hit me on some side. Mind you, she's always had my number since I met and been around her child. She was like, "Hey, can you come meet me?" And it was just like. At first I was like, heck no, like you being weird. But something told me to meet up with this lady. So I'm like, I'm gonna just take my gun with me because just in case. Mm-hmm. When I say she showed me some pictures of how badly she had been beat and how badly she had been, like, she was just like, no, like, you're so nice. Like, I just don't want you to deal with this. Like, yeah, like I'm not. He's been a good father, like he's been a good person, and I thought he wasn't this person anymore. But look, and I'm not telling you what to do. I just want you to know, like, this is why we are divorced.
Wow.
And I didn't share with him. I just was like, it was a progressive thing too. Like, I didn't just was like, this is not gonna work, boom, done. I'm like, I'm not, it was kind of backing up for the whole situation. I don't think this is gonna work. And the more and more I backed up from the situation, the more and more it was breaking and entering, popping up.
Damn.
My car was disabled at one point. And I didn't even know he did it. So I had to end up driving his vehicle. Because I needed a vehicle for the morning, and ended up driving his vehicle. It was him the whole time trying to
made you relying on him.
And it was just, and then it was just completely bad. Like, how
long did y'all work together?
Probably a year. We probably worked together. We worked together longer than we dated. And when I say, like, we worked together for longer than we dated, I ended up switching locations because of our positions. We could not deal with each other and work together. And it started to become obvious. So somebody had to go. So I changed locations, which that wasn't even an issue. That wasn't a problem at all. But man, listen, that was crazy. And I don't know.
Wow.
Well, not I can't say I don't know, but I again, like I said, I went to therapy for these things. So I was like, yo, how did I get in the situation? 1, 2, how did I know? How did I miss all of this stuff? Like, what could I have done different? Like, you asked all those questions, but it was super, super, super crazy. Something that I could never imagine dealing with. My family don't even know about it.
Wow.
My sister knows bits and pieces. I had one friend that always went to court with me. Oh wait, like she knows the details of everything. I actually had to walk to her house barefoot. And that's why she's the friend that knows, because she lived closest to me. Walk to her house barefoot, no phone, no nothing.
Wow.
Yep. So
Oh, Lord.
yeah, I dating a coworker. Out.
Yeah.
Not happening. Not happening.
I don't have anything remotely close to that. I've done it, but I've only done it in a place, at least recently, in a place where it was big enough to where there were different departments to where my path and this individual's path rarely crossed. And when things did go south, I didn't interact with it because I didn't have to.
Gotcha.
I've never, well, I see, my thing is, I never dated a coworker. But I was at a job where I met a person that was working there at the job where I worked. And when I left the job, we ended up dating. That was different. But when I saw this posted, I talked about, because I'm in real estate. And one of the things I talked about in my programs was landlords dating tenants.
Yeah.
And I talked about that because I gave the story about
That's
I was telling yeah, and I told the landlords, you know, I told them, I said that's the worst thing you want to do. You talking about dating a co-worker, dating a tenant, that's the worst thing you want to do. And I give the story about a gentleman, a good friend of mine, who had a rental property, and he was renting to a young lady that we both knew, and he always had a little crush on her, so he rented the apartment to her and ended up hooking up with her. And so once he ended up hooking up with her, having sex with her, coming by, doing all these things, she felt, of course she got to that point where she said, well, shoot, I ain't paying no rent. And see, we knew she was crazy in high school, but she was still crazy as an adult too. And he ended up taking her to court to evict her. And she stood up in court and said, Your Honor, when I was giving him the pussy, it wasn't no problem. But now that I told him I'm not giving him none no more, now he want to evict me. He wasn't charging me rent all that time. And now, I mean, she put it all out in the court records. And he was standing there looking stupid.
You could have been renting that out to somebody else getting money, dumbass.
What can you say? He couldn't say nothing. And I share that in my program.
But either way, he's still getting evicted.
Well, no, not in that situation, because they'll consider that extortion.
Right. That's against a landlord violation.
Yes, sir.
Because
so
it's
he
like
still
a teacher
can't give her no 30-day eviction.
He can't give her 30-day, but he can't evict her for non-payment because he wasn't charging her when she was giving them sex.
Right.
And now that she's not giving them sex, he wants to charge her.
Gotcha.
For living in the apartment.
That's why she played the card.
Like a teacher and a student, you have that power between a teacher and a student, where she has that power over you. A landlord has that power over the tenant that can be able to evict them if they don't do certain things. Then they hold that threat over them, and so that's why it's forbidden or frowned upon. And she knew, And she ain't no shame in her game. That's how she was in high school. She'd say whatever one she wanted to say. So when she stood up in court, I wasn't surprised that she did it, but I was surprised that he did it because I kept telling him, don't do it. But he did it anyways. And she stood up in court and it went in the court records. And the judge did not evict her. He actually gave her like 30 days to find. She didn't pay. So he gave her 30 days to find a place, but he didn't evict her right away. He gave her, said, well, you need to, take some time and find a place, but you need to get out within the next 30 days. But of course, the judge looking at him cross-eyed, like, dude.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So how do you do, so those kind of things you have to really be careful with, with coworkers, with tenants, all those kind of things. I had a tenant that offered me sex one time. And I told her, I said, no. And she was like, "Come on, Mr. Price." I said, "No." I said, "I like my."
Not
I said, "I like my
transaction.
I enjoy my money too much."
It was simply a transaction.
But hey, I told her, I said, "I love my rent money too much," and she started laughing, and because she knew, because once she gave it to me, she knew she wasn't planning to pay no rent. And I said, I love my rent money too much. And I said, we ain't going there.
Wow.
And we became the best of friends because she knew that I was, that's how I was, And
she wanted to really pee.
Hey,
She wanted the Willie P.
She wanted that rental discount. That's what she wanted. That rental discount. It wasn't happening.
Christine?
Yeah, I've dated once because I'm a fast learner. One time I dated somebody that I worked with, and it was disastrous. I would deter anyone from doing it. And we worked in the same department, but we were in different buildings. But he kind of was the double whammy because I also don't date much older men because of him too. So he had about, I think he had 15 years on me. Wow. And it was just all kind of disastrous. Nothing. I didn't get embarrassed at work, thank God. He did, but that's okay because he went to work. He went to work with knots and stuff on his head that he had to try to explain. So
you threw more than a little Debbie snack cakes at him. You threw some bricks at him, huh?
They was that stale? Zebra cakes?
No, actually,
she called up the goon squad on him.
My daughter beat that man within inches of his life. I ain't even gonna lie.
She called out the goon squad on him.
I guess I did. I didn't mean to though.
He should have relocated after that.
What happened was I had left my keys in his car because he had taken me home. No big deal. But so when I got home, because I used to keep my bedroom door locked to keep my kids out of there, I didn't have keys to get in my bedroom. So I was like, well, one of my daughters had basketball practice. I had my oldest daughter take me and her to basketball practice and everything. By the time I came back, he was at my house and he was in my bedroom and he had an attitude. He had an attitude. He was, yes, where the F you been? Because I also didn't have my phone, left it in his car. Where the F you been? This is that age difference, that insecurity. And before I could even say anything, he grabbed me by my face and shoved me down. I was like, what just happened here? So I was like, oh, you got to go. And he sat down real cocky, sat down on the edge of my bed, real cocky, crossed his legs and said, I ain't going nowhere. So I had
he thought he was Orange Juice Jones.
And so I said, I opened my bedroom door and I said, call the police. This man just put his hands on me. I didn't say man, but I'm like, this man just put it before I could finish getting the words out of my mouth. When I tell you my daughter was across that threshold, standing over him, because he was sitting down, remember, his head just going back and forth like a ping pong ball. She was just, because she said, did you put your hands on my mama? And he looked up at her real cocky, and before he could get the words out of his mouth, she had his head going back and forth and back and forth. He finally got the wherewithal to stand up, and she came with that haymaker. But I tell you, like it was just like, and he fell backwards. I remember he broke the glass out of my window, fell to the ground, and she still wasn't done. She on top of him, choking him. And she said, she said, Mama, the reason I stopped is I realized that I was killing him. When he stood up, his from the neck up, and he was about my complexion, from the neck up, he was purple.
Wow. Wow.
Side issue. He must have been a small guy.
Nope. He was 6. I mean, he wasn't heavy.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Average size. He's about 6'2".
6 is tall.
No, but,
5'5".
no. I'm not talking about his height. I'm talking about his size.
He wasn't that small.
He wasn't small.
No, he wasn't that
Why
small.
you gotta be small? Why'd you assume he was small?
Because in order for a woman to be able to choke a man, either she's exceptionally big or he's exceptionally small or somewhere in between.
He was sitting down when she first went at him.
Somebody's mother. It's a different level.
Yeah, exactly. You find strength you ain't never had before.
Muscular.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is this.
And
a woman's hands
he hit that
aren't that big enough
with her mama.
No. Understand what I'm saying. Her hands aren't big enough to physically choke him. She doesn't have the hand strength to do that.
This is what you're pressing on. It's not about the whole neck. It's about
all you have to do is press. You don't have to put your hands all the way around, especially if he's basically almost unconscious.
Yeah, because her like
you got to keep in mind, if you get close to that jugular area right there, and you start holding that jugular area, that's where you're cutting off the circulation. So no, you don't matter.
You don't have to put your hands around the neck. If he's
he had the leverage for being.
He's not doing that. He's not doing that much movement. All she's got to do is apply that pressure, and she could have killed him, and she realized it because he started taking colors.
No. I'm not saying that's not possible. I just inquired about his size because and I stress
size don't matter. It don't matter.
It don't.
So you mean to tell me?
It don't matter. I was in college and it was a guy, he was 6'3". He slapped me. I knocked that ninja out.
I'm not saying anything about knocking anybody out. I'm saying choking somebody.
He was almost unconscious already. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. If he was in his full capacity, you're right. It would have been difficult for her to choke him. But
that's what I'm saying.
Heard what she said.
He was already defeated because he was in a sitting position.
He was almost basically
and he hit the glass and then he hit the floor.
He was cocky because he's a known abuser. So he was cocky and he was off guard. He was not prepared for what happened to him.
Exactly.
So it's a whole lot of stuff that
right
came
there.
into play.
And then I can touch one part of your neck with one hand and I can knock you out.
Yeah. He underestimated. He didn't think that he was going to get none of that. He thought he was coming in dictating, controlling stuff. He was going to be physical. He didn't know he had met his match. He didn't even meet his match. He didn't know he was on his way to meet his maker.
Exactly.
That's what he didn't know.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, right. And that's what she said. She was like, my daddy told me, if anybody touched my mama, you hurt them.
That's right.
That's what she kept saying to him. But something Annetta said, a known abuser. So I didn't know this. So that was that. I called the police. They took him away. I packed up his with little stuff he had there. I put it in his car. Told his daughter, because he had an adult daughter, come get your daddy's stuff. And his other kids because like all our kids were interacting with each other. So he had kids in middle school and they were talking to my kids that were in middle school, and his daughter told my daughter, I'm glad she did it because I couldn't do nothing when he was beating my mama.
My mama.
See, that was something I never knew.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, that was not a first time. You normally see if that's not a first time for a lot of these guys. They're so used to doing it. Yeah.
Right. He
Yeah,
came
you
in because that's a known pattern for him. And I guarantee you, when she whooped up on him, that's going to make him think the next woman he hit on.
Yeah. He figured it was a house full of women in that house, and he was going to come in there and
he was
control
gonna
and do what
dictate.
he wanted to do.
He got the wrong. He got the wrong
one.
It.
Exactly.
I love it. I hope she left a lasting remark. I hope she left a mark somewhere that will make him remember.
Well,
for the rest of his damn life.
He's dead now, so I think he did.
He's still alive. I was gonna say, he's still alive.
He's probably watching the show right now from down in heaven, a hell.
He's very dead, but yeah. So that whole experience, and then like I said, so we thank God we worked in different buildings. So when he got back to work, you know, people looking at, he got lumps on his head, like what's going on with you?
He had him concussed.
Wow.
But that could have been very ugly and very embarrassing at work, especially had we been working in the same building. So that was my lesson. That was it.
Yeah.
Come on, Dave. Tell us one of them teacher stories.
I don't have any stories.
So you ain't messing with nobody in the schoolhouse. You ain't messing with nobody in the schoolhouse ever.
Schoolhouse where, Shaughnessy?
In that janitor's closet. Come on.
Her face like she knows something.
No.
I was gonna say, she's looking like
there's just a particular teacher.
Like, don't make me bring up her name.
There was a particular, and I'm not gonna
wow.
but there was a particular teacher in our high school that been around.
What's her initials?
Last name
Initials.
I don't
know the first. You don't know the first name.
Blonde hair.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
You're protecting the predator.
Been around.
How well do you know?
You didn't get a piece of that, Dave?
Nah, I didn't get a piece of that.
For real?
No, my main thing was when I worked at the college level, I had a lot of work wives, so I had some things going on, man.
They want to proceed them involved.
So, hey, how you doing, Sir Tice? How you doing?
I'm like, did I suck the energy out of the room? I just say more. And y'all
no. Go ahead and tell us the coworkers that you mess with in the schoolhouse.
I don't do that. I don't do that. Miss Shaughnessy, I don't do that. I'm like Mr. I mean, you should have saw my post on it. I'm the one that want brothers not to do that at all. I was gonna say you're protecting predators or whatever at school, you know, when you said those. No, but in all seriousness, the short version is I've seen a lot of careers ruined by this, men and women. And if it's a job that you don't really care about, big deal. But if it's your career, man, you got to get that lust under control, you know. And look, I know we all have this representative or presentation we like to sometimes present ourselves as, you know, but on the real, hey, walking the straight line at work, whatever, has got me out of a lot of shit that I've seen. A lot of dudes. I've seen a guy. I remember. Short version is this guy was, I want to say, in the early 2000s in IT. He was about to make about $180,000 I wasn't in the six figures back then. Hell, I was barely 30 years old at the time. He was about to make that move, but because he had a damn office fuck file, I'm sorry for the language, my bad. But because he had basically smashed a lot of people in the office and shit, they messed up a lot of his things and his presentations. And no doubt about it. I kind of admired him about that. I just like, dude, you real loose dick, man. You need to chill. We already meet them at the happy hour, man. You ain't gotta do shit at home, you know. So that's just my thing, you know.
So he had more. He had several. So he had several relationships.
Several, like I said, he was part of the Office F, you know.
Wow.
And the ladies know what the Office F file is. They can act like they know, right? Right. Right. Y'all know.
Oh yeah. No, I know there's men that seems like they get jobs to purposely see how many women in this particular job.
When you talk about just jobs, I'm talking about on a real talk. When I was living in Minnesota at the time, they used to have.
I know a neurosurgeon that has hit well over 10 nurses.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
There you go.
I know.
That's not a surprise, though.
I know.
Right. I've always just looked at it. When you're a black man, and I don't walk around with this black man chip on my shoulder or whatever, but when you're a black man and you're in these positions, the eyes are going to be on you. The spotlight is going to be on you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they're like, oh, here he goes. He's going to probably, you know, there's always going to be this intimidation factor. God forbid you somewhat remotely good at the job. They're going to find something about you, you know, to use. I don't want to look again. I don't want to. I want brothers to get away from this black man chip on the shoulder. But damn,
But that's not
I don't
a
want to say
chip.
P word
That's
or whatever.
being
But
careful.
Things are good. You making money, and you're the man at the office. I get it, how alluring it could be. But again, and that's, I don't know. Again, I might want to take away from the fun of the show, whatever, because I've seen some funny ass things from Christmas parties, which I've used against people. Some, you know, open up some closets or things like that. Where I'm like, okay, I keep my mouth shut and shit. You know, just make sure my shit get through with it. You know,
extortion.
Don't scrutinize my expense reports too hard. You know, before they were scamming every damn thing. You know, but yeah, that's just my take on that.
All right.
Wow.
Mr. Glover, you ain't get out of this. We listening.
Yeah, Mr. Glover.
It wasn't nothing at the schoolhouse, Shaughnessy, at where we
wherever it was.
No, I just said I had work wives.
I want to hear about these work wives because your work wives might not equate to the work wives in that kind of situation we know. So we're listening.
Anybody that has to travel for conferences, they got plenty of stories, right?
You know, with the work wives, you know, you had different ones doing different things. I had, you know, some made dinner, whatever. Like if my car was down, I could drive her car for the weekend. Or
what'd you have to do in return?
Yeah, Mr. Glover.
See, I don't think they quite understand what you're saying, Dave.
You might have to tell them that.
There's a book by Alan Roger Curry called The Possibility of Sex. See, women think that men are the only ones that fall prey to that. What David is telling you is he used the allure of the possibility of sex to get some things from these women, and he never crossed that boundary.
No, I would rather hear him say.
That's not.
I don't think that's what Dave is telling us. No, hell no.
I did cross the boundary.
I don't think Dave is telling us that. I don't think that's what Dave tried to tell us.
I was trying to get a man a lifeline.
I know you was, but I just wanted to be real. I could have just said, "You right, Herb," but I wanted to be transparent. And all that
I wasn't letting it go like that, Herb.
I appreciate you, Herb.
Allure of sex. Yeah, he allured them all right.
Good look. Yeah, so, you know, sometimes it would get chaotic. You would have jealousy and all that stuff. And after a while, you like,
oh,
damn.
So you had multiples.
I had work wives.
Oh, Mr. Glover.
Like, yeah.
Wow.
Like, it wasn't like I said, if if my car was like in the shop or something, I didn't have to worry about like, oh, how I'm gonna get to work. I had people alternating when they're gonna come pick me up to come get me. And also then when it got to the weekend, like, damn, I ain't got no damn car or whatever. Oh, you can use my car or whatever the case is. So
all right, Mr. Glove.
But then, you know, see, this is why I just try to chill with him.
Oh yeah, Mr. Glover, I do got something to show you. So I got something to show you.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Glover, that's nice. Look at Mr. Glover.
So it just got, you know, it was chaotic, and then eventually, one person ended up leaving, and that was like the saving grace, or whatever, because it just got too hot on the spot. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Wow.
I know I went, but can I share a story? Y'all like this one. It involves me.
Oh, so you did mess with a coworker?
I was 19. I remember I said the difference between careers and jobs, but long story short, I was 19. It was like my first little job in the tech industry. And this one chick, she was really, I think she was like 5 years older than me. But long story short, my mom, I had a car, but one time my mom would drop off. She's like, "Oh, Miss Tice, yeah, he's like my little brother here, or whatever. Oh yeah, this whatever." Anyway, she used to go out with this top drug dealer or whatever at the time, and used to be, you know, bragging about that. I thought she had no interest in me. So one time, my mother dropped me off, had to use the car, and again, I'm 19 at the time, so just charged this back then. So she took me home, and she was making it like, yeah, so how much if I basically, that's how much.
Cut him
what
off.
Cliffhanger?
Cut him off.
Oh, my bad. I had to go closer to my Wi-Fi signal. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad about that.
The universe don't want you to tell the story.
She basically said, I don't know where the camera is. I just bought this thing. So anyway, she basically was like, if I give you some ass, how much will it be? And I'm like, how much? You out of your, mind. We get in the driveway. She said, so $200. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here, or whatever. So I said, look, let's just go inside for a second, come inside, or whatever, right? I open up the door. She sits down at the kitchen table, and I open up the refrigerator, like, you want something to drink? I close her kitchen door, and her pants are off. And I'm like, oh, shit. This is like, damn. This is like some movie shit. I'm a young dude. I don't really, I'm not really peeping things. And then she's like, so how much now? And I'm like, let me see. I'm like, anyways, long story short.
You were selling penis. That's crazy.
I was what? I wasn't selling anything. But no, long story short, nothing happened.
Okay.
No. Real talk. Nothing happened.
Woman sitting there with nothing on, and
right.
Nothing
happens. I
and
walk
19.
upstairs, and my mom's is there, and I'm like,
oh,
fucking kidding me. And
damn.
To this day, I think she kind of heard what happened downstairs, but but she act like, okay, he's a grown man right now. So I told old girl the next day, like, yeah, my mom was home. She's like, the car wasn't there. I'm like, she somehow put it in the car, or in the garage and shit. But yeah, but that was just one fun little thing. I wish I would have, I later saw her 5 years later, and you can read between the lines what happened there. So, but
I can't read between the lines. I need the lines to have letters.
No, it was 5 years later. I mean, shit, I had an opportunity. Now I'm not the young guy anymore, and she still looks the same. So,
did you get the money?
Huh?
Did she get the money?
I didn't hear what you guys said.
Did you get the money?
Money?
Yeah, they are, Willie. She's asking if you paid for it.
Money.
Yeah.
He paid for it. She was the one that wanted to pay for it.
Why would I have to pay for it?
No, that's what I said. She was the one that wanted to pay for it.
That was just her talking shit. That's all.
Oh.
She was just trying to play it like, I got this top drug. You guys know how you guys did it or whatever and all this or whatever. You just can't be cheap and all that or whatever, about it. Yes,
I've never paid or will pay.
I would hope you wouldn't, but you do know that there are plenty of women that employ the services of like gigolos and all that.
So you're right. You are right. You are right.
For the record, get used to saying that. I'm always right. You might not agree.
Oh, no.
And see, for the thing for me is about like was getting stuff done. Like I think I was in working on my master's and all that stuff, so I didn't have to worry about typing papers and any of that stuff. So I was just trying to make stuff easier for me. If I needed transportation, it was always, it was there.
So,
it was available.
Are you a gold digger?
Gold digger? No, I wasn't. Like that stuff was minor little stuff, just to help me cross the bridge, whatever, to get, overcome some circumstances.
So if a woman was doing that to you, what would that be called?
Rape.
Hold on, wait a minute. Women do it all the time. It's called the friend zone.
Yeah.
Right. Don't act like it don't exist.
Okay. I'll take that. I will take that.
So it wasn't it wasn't that, and I was never like disrespectful or whatever. They were in competition for my attention and to try to do things for me. And
you just took the best out of it.
I was just low key, whatever, just like, depending on my mood or who I wanted to deal with at that particular time.
The possibility, like I said.
So I never had a full blown like, oh, we're item and all of that stuff working together. Nah, I can't even because I got my ways with me, so that just wouldn't work. I would be aggravated as hell to be looking at somebody's face. They trying to get too close, whatever. Like, yo, go back to your damn desk or something. Leave me the hell alone, or whatever the case is.
Wow.
Now
I just sound like a big block Chevy.
Now, if I want to, we kind of ahead of the game. Typically, in normal circumstances, we wouldn't even be at the fourth talking point. But we could talk about these deal breakers right quick.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Oh
yeah.
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that makeup post, whatever, with the chick, whatever. And y'all was like, "Oh, it's the same
That's
thing."
Out of control. I don't care what nobody says. That is out of control. There is no way, shape, or form that you should make yourself up in a way that you are unrecognizable. That is.
They do it.
That is fighting words. Oh my God! If I go to bed with you looking like this and you wake up like that, I swear I could two-piece you.
Somebody will get hurt.
Ew.
Right. Somebody will get hurt.
Why are people not thinking about the post? Why are people defending that? That's what I mean about that disingenuous nonsense. People know that that's not healthy to have all on your face like that or whatever. That literally looked like those old Freddy Krueger or making up the monsters for the Michael Jackson videos and things like that. It was that much makeup work that had to be on. And I'm like,
right.
I'm not saying that I never called that woman once ugly. I just simply said, yo, why don't y'all encourage her to try to do it naturally?
Get some turmeric soap, remove your acne, and then it'll work.
Right. Yeah, improve your diet and all this. As far as that, I don't have deal breakers and all this. I think dating is dead. Yeah, I know, call me a cynical guy and all this. I think it's dead in this market. And I don't know if y'all talked about it earlier, but that whole thing about I think it was Miss Annette that said something about doing background checks on people. I found out you do a background check on me. I'm like, all right, you know what? and you found out what? Nothing. Okay, so
Now you cutting her off.
But move on. I just think that.
So if you don't find out nothing, if you don't find out nothing,
that's the point. That's why she's doing it, to make sure she find nothing.
Right, and that's fine.
If you don't find out anything, you good.
Well, hold a second. You're gonna do what you're gonna do. That's fine. I'm gonna look at it like I'm not gonna be in circles with people that got these shady backgrounds any damn way.
Yeah.
You know, now you can't know everything, but I mean, I've pretty much hit a damn 800 average. Yeah, I've had some crazies, but I've been able to push them apart. I guess it's different from being a woman, so I'm not gonna knock it on a sense, you know. And I get it. Sometimes you may have a dude who's a sex offender or something like that, but I just think it's way too extreme. I just think that because a lot of women, I'm gonna end on this note. You know, I gotta end with a banger. Just a second, you know, I gotta end with a banger. A lot of women love these dudes with these dark triad traits. So because you like those dark triad traits, you're gonna find those people with them suspect backgrounds. And guess what? Even when you do that background check, so why did you murder this one particular person? Tell me about that. I mean, it doesn't. Anyway, so I'll pass the mic.
No, I think it's important for things like sex offenders and stuff like that, because people don't openly, men, I will say all men, and I'm not gonna say it's men in general, because it's not. There's some men that'll be completely honest about their background and say, look, I did this amount of time for this, it was manslaughter, it was this, and this is what happened, etc., etc. I just want you to know before you find out. And then you have your people that will never tell you. Yeah, I know this guy that I went to school with, very timid, soft-spoken guy. He did 15 years for manslaughter for killing his stepfather after a domestic violence situation with his mother. So of course, but he's not that person, you know. He's not. He did what he had to do to protect his mother. At the end of the day,
that's
like
15 years. That's 15 years of life-changing behavior.
Huh?
He lost the trial.
That's 15 years of life-changing behavior.
I guess he was 15, so he got out of jail. I think he got out of jail. Maybe he got out of jail. Maybe he did less than 15 because he got out of jail last year. We were 9. Then
still,
damn.
Think about you're 15 years old and you're put in that type of a situation, incarceration, 5 years, 10 years, 12, 15, whatever amount of years. Your mentality is going to be so messed up. You're going to have that mindset of being enclosed and living a certain way and responding to different things, different ways. Someone look at you a certain way, you're going to have to defend yourself or feel like you got to defend yourself. There's so much that comes along with that.
Right.
That's a scary situation. And it's not his fault, but you got to think about it. At 15, everything that happened to him, it became a learned behavior for him.
His growth is on pause.
Right. And so he's got it now incorporate himself into that environment. At 15
but
years
he ended
old.
up getting his degree. He ended up getting his degree in jail, though.
Yeah, I mean, you have people to get degrees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
he's still mentally
you got to deal with that, with that lifestyle. Yeah, he's got to deal with with that survival. He goes back into survival mode when he's not in that classroom.
Right.
You know, that's a whole different mindset. So now you get out, and when you went in, you were a young kid, a teenager, and now you get out and you're an adult in a world where you've never experienced adult activities, you know, adult lifestyle, financial literacy, the whole survival as an adult.
Brother Willie, don't you think that's an anomaly, though?
What's that?
They're just doing them like the type of person you're describing. Many of them are doing the background checks to be nosy. I'm going.
Well, now, and we already talked about that.
I disagree.
I have social media with that. And I think because you have, especially at our age, 30, 40, 50 years old, you've got people who've got some backgrounds. They're not going to disclose that, especially
and I don't
if
care
they're in
who
a
you,
situation.
And it doesn't even matter about people's social status, how much money they make. I know people that are, in my circle that make really good money and they got crazy DWIs. They got a lot of issues going on. So it doesn't even matter. So my thing is, I don't get offended when people say they got an issue with me doing background check. I'm not going to say that, I don't hang around shady people or whatever. You don't know somebody shady off the surface of, like,
exactly.
There's 3 doctors
You
I
run
work
that
with.
background check.
It's 3 doctors I work with that got crazy DWIs. Crazy DWIs.
Okay.
But you would never know it. You would never know it by the way their practice is in the hospital and what they do and all of that. You would never know that. Okay. So my thing is, it doesn't matter who you be around. You do what's comfortable for you and what's going to be beneficial for you.
It's my general take that you're going to find out those traits anyway. I just find it interesting how the people that we look down upon.
That's not true though.
Well, hear me out.
But wait, you said the people that we look down upon.
Yeah, the people. I'm saying this for effect, okay, Miss Shaughnessy. The people that we tend to in society look down upon, the so-called downtrodden or street people, they can read people like a damn book 10 times better than most so-called formally educated people. Obviously not all, but then what's the point I'm getting at? And I've been around, these situations. I'm like, damn, how'd you read that or whatever? Oh, you could tell from his twitches or whatever, or this. Oh yeah, he's not comfortable in here or this. It's a lot of things and being able to read character. And just me being around these people, not on a regular, everyday basis, I think that part of our PT, like, because we're so reliant on these devices and things like that, we've lost our social skills to whereas we try to, how to read people. Everybody's going to tell you everything. And again, I'm not totally knocking the background check, but I'm also saying, like me, I don't invite people into my home generally. And let me rephrase that. I'm not so welcoming to inviting people in my home off the rip. Just because that's just, this is just my comfort area, and I'm not going to bring you into my space, but I think I have good enough social skills and reading people and body language understanding and all that I'm 99%, I should say 90% accurate that I can read people. So whereas I just look at it, it's like, wait a minute, I'm zooming from my perspective, I'll pass it. I just met you. What the hell I'm going to do spending money off the background check for you when I just see you right now off the rip as TNA until later on. But by then, you'll probably say something that'll piss me off anyway. No, I'm joking, whatever. But in all seriousness, I just think I can get a good read of people. Like, I can already tell dark triad traits or they're into this. I wouldn't want to know the details of their background. That's what I'm getting at, So I just think that we've lost our skills in being able to evaluate these people off the rip.
So that's one thing, the deal breaker. Like what are some of the other deal breakers?
Teeth, bad teeth.
Bad teeth.
Bad
breath.
Bad breath. Bad teeth.
Bad breath is horrible. And I knew this girl, very, very, very pretty girl. And when I say her breath was so horrific, and everybody would talk about her. And that was the thing. She was very pretty girl, but her breath was so bad. And it just,
how was her teeth?
That was a deal breaker.
How was her teeth?
How
was her teeth?
Her teeth were fine. There may have been a molar or something in her mouth or something. We don't know.
Yeah, but she didn't floss or anything like that.
She need a water pick.
Yeah, but your breath don't stink. Your breath don't stink because of your teeth. Your breath stink because the bowel in your stomach.
Yeah, your diet. Yeah.
Sometimes you can have a
not
broken
necessarily
tooth.
too.
Sometimes you can have a broken
can be
tooth
bad.
in
Yeah.
the tooth.
A cavity can cause bad breath.
Right.
Yeah.
Typically,
Yeah.
what I was getting at is that people with
I
bad
found
teeth
that
don't
out, yeah,
floss,
because
and they have the
somebody
meat from last
one
week in
time.
there.
Oh,
But their breath was so bad. It was really. But then I also talked about the girl who I took to Boston that time.
Yeah,
I
she
don't
is
even want
Rican.
to relive that
I'm not
story.
gonna go there again. That's what I just said.
Yeah.
But that was definitely a deal breaker. Taking her to Boston and her
That was gross.
yeah, and her vagina really, I mean, it chased everybody basically out the arena.
wait a minute. I'm sorry, and this is this. I have to share. I guess a milkshake didn't bring all the boys to the front yard.
What?
I said, I guess a milkshake didn't bring all the boys to the front yard.
Man. Look, so those two right there, those are like two deal breakers for me. Bad breath and that situation, but also hands for me.
I feel like
If
I have
your
a lot of
hands-
deal breakers now that I think about it.
I do too. Hands, feet. If you can cover them up, that's good.
With tube socks.
But
Tube
hands-
socks.
So she gotta leave her socks on.
keep those socks on, baby. We
She
gonna
gotta
do it
keep
with the
her
socks
socks
on.
on.
I used to be
Everything-
like that. Like you
take
had
off
to wear
everything-
socks.
take off
I had
everything
a
but
big
them
thing of
socks.
feet.
But hands
So
are worse though for me.
Broke, lazy, and unambitious.
Yeah,
Huh?
I said broke,
Begging.
lazy, and unambitious.
Oh,
beggars.
yeah.
How ambitious should
I
a
hate
man
beggars. I
45
hate
years
beggars.
old be?
I don't know. Where is he in life?
He should be ambitious enough not to be broke.
Okay,
And you should be ambitious all
But
the way
what's
to
the
the day you
definition
die.
of broke?
But Christine,
Do
don't
you
you agree
stop
that that's
being
kind of an
ambitious?
extreme?
I don't get that.
No, I was like, Christine, don't you get? Hold on, 1 second. Christine, don't you agree that that's an extreme? I mean, what if he just works? What if that man is just comfortable with his job, does well, it's fine. He's comfortable,
But she
and you
said
find him
broke.
attractive.
That's not broke.
No,
That's
I
not
mean,
broke.
but
Going
some
extreme
people
is
are
broke.
comfortable being broke.
Huh?
But you
But
said
see,
broke,
I
you
think what Sir
mean-
Tyson's getting at is broke is a relative term.
Right.
Because a man earning $50,000 to a woman earning 85,000 is broke. And
No,
what Sir
you're not.
Tyson's saying is if he's meeting his financial obligations and he's happy doing what he wants to do, and he's not
If
struggling,
he can afford his lifestyle.
You think a woman considers
However-
a man broke if he's making $50,000 and she's making 150,000, she looks at him as broke? You think that's
Yes.
that's not
Oh,
how she
absolutely.
looks at him. That's
I
not how she looks
guarantee
at him.
you.
She looks at him
I
as
don't
not being
know.
up to her standards.
No, because I'll be the first one to say this. You can make less money than a person and manage your money a lot better than a person. Because
Totally agree. Great point. That's a great point.
Because
and she doesn't. They don't normally consider them broke. They're looking for a certain type of standard. They're not broke. They're just looking at,
so
well, he doesn't make
their
enough
standard.
to meet my standards,
Yeah.
and that's
Well,
what
second, Willie, Willie, you almost got the cape on.
Somebody who doesn't say what?
Willie, you almost got the
Whatever.
cape on. Let me ask you this, and we brothers, you almost got the cape on. Let me ask this: is there ever like, as much as I hear in Black social media about these whole standards or money? Are you telling me people are showing each other's paycheck stubs or bank statements? When do these conversations come up? Unless they just come up with based on the lifestyle or how.
That's what it is.
I think it's observation of lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think it's observation of
But
lifestyle.
you do have people who try to judge a person based on their income. So they may not say, well, how much some people actually do ask a person how much they make. But what they'll do is they'll ask them what do they do for a living, and that gives them some type of ideology. That gives them the type of ideology of what they may be making And based on that ideology, they're looking to see if that's comparable to what their lifestyle or what they want their lifestyle to be.
Do you think that that's a good? I'm trying to see. Go. I'll let you go.
No, I'm big and firm on how you manage your money is very, very different, and it you can make 50,000 less than me, and I could be living from paycheck to paycheck, and you won't be.
All about your lifestyle. I've had people, and I've had women ask me, so what do you do for a living?
Really broke?
And I say I write books and do workshops. They have no clue. But because it sounds boring, they think it's nothing to it, so they don't want to be bothered with me. And I like that. I like that because I say if you're that shallow that you're basing your involvement with me based on what I do for a living, I love it because
I'm finna Google your books and see what workshops you do and how many people coming and how many seats sold out.
I think as I've tried to get into,
I got a whole new thing going now, Shaughnessy.
Yeah,
I do tell people
that depending. I mean, I would like to hear the ladies' thoughts on this, and you can be honest. You know, I think that if a woman is into you, that stuff ain't gonna matter off the rip. Now, long term, yes.
I can agree with that. I can agree. So the reason why I can agree with that is again because I say it's that lifestyle thing because I am in a situation where I do make more, but you can't tell. You can't tell because it's really like, so where's your money? So it's the man, not even lifestyle, because I feel like our lifestyles are kind of compatible, but I don't know where my money be going. I don't know.
I think you're talking about
to take one of my classes. Then I'll show you how to figure it out.
Yeah. You're talking about from a relationship context. Yeah. I'm talking about straight up human attraction to each other. That that initially attracts us to where, and this is the onset to me of all the issues where people like, you know what, this person is not good for me, but I enjoy being with them, or in other words, what I'm saying is that, like, for years, I've told people, I'm like, I'm not telling people what I do anymore. It's not like they're going to understand it any damn way or whatever. Are you trying to explain that? They're going to know me for me because I'm more than my career any damn way. And I think we've gotten to a point where we're wearing our titles. You look at all these I'm using social media as an example deliberately. You look at all these things. I won't say the content creators group, but I'm in one of their little social media groups, and everybody's coming in. I'm XX years age. I do this. I live here, and I'm like, not anything about what you like, what's fun, what you enjoy. I enjoy my children. I enjoy skiing, running, working out. I'm this career. And that's where I think we've lost it. We've become our titles.
Yeah.
I agree with you. But when I say
you're agreeing with me, oh my God.
Yeah. Mark this day in history.
I think she's got a little Debbie snack cake, so she can't throw anything at you.
Go ahead.
But I guess when I say broke, what did I say? Broke. What? And
you said unambitious, and I was just simply saying
I said broke.
Have a
Something
who's content in
so
their career.
So right. if that person has a lifestyle that is unacceptable to them, but is not willing to get up and do what it takes to change it, to improve that's what I call broke, lazy, and unambitious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be attracted to that unless you're telling about yourself. Off the rip anyway, right?
What? Tell them what about yourself?
I don't understand.
Tell them what about yourself?
You can go. You're on mute. You're on mute.
That's not true because you have had, I call it using this word. It's some men that could digmatize you, and you like.
Thank you for saying it. Thank you for saying it.
They are broke, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because you impressed with that thing. Now you get to an older age, that stuff don't impress you no more like that. So that when she say unambitious, I think you should be ambitious all the way to the day you take your last breath. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I differently. Like I just totally look at it different. Like I feel like you got to be compatible with whoever you. I don't want to be with somebody where I'm like, oh shoot, I'm into making multiple streams of income, and he just like, oh well, nah, I'm good right where I'm at. Because I'm a person that like to go and I'm driven like that, we would not be compatible. At some point, one of us is going to either get resentful or get displaced with each other or just not feel the vibe.
Or the digmatized thing would overcome all that, make you reconsider, right?
You know, being honest, you know what I'm saying? But we get there. I mean, we can't say that, oh, I'm not going to connect with this person, because some people got some lousy baby mamas and some horrible baby daddies. So obviously make some bad decisions in some processes of life. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, I think to each his own. However, I always say put relationships in the category to be. If this person is your hit the sheets person, let him be the hit the sheets person. Don't look at him being long term your future. Okay. If this person looks like he's a potential, he's a part of the future, he's gonna drive with you, y'all gonna work together, then let that person be that person.
No one else?
Deal breakers? Oh man, I got a lot. I don't know if we have enough time.
I was just about to say.
Don't move Herbert furniture. That's a deal breaker.
Teeth, bad parents.
My deal breaker is not say anything pertaining to my children. That's
Don't
a deal.
say anything.
I can understand that.
Pertaining to my children, deal breaker for me. One, because right now my kids are all grown. Okay. And for some men, I may be overbearing because I'm very there for my children. If they say, boom, I need $1,000, boom, I'm there. If they say, oh, mom, I want to go here, I'm there. And for some men,
so they can't speak on it.
Don't even say nothing.
Oh, wow.
So
hold on.
So, and I can see you saying that, but I think if it was vice versa, you always got something to say. Always got something to say if the tables was turned.
So if you're, does this mean if you're in a relationship or if you're just dating a person?
Oh, if I'm dating somebody, they really better not say nothing about my kids.
Right, and I agree with that. But if you're in a relationship, you are married to an individual, and I'd like to think that most married
marriage is different. Marriage is different.
Okay.
I never get married. I don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
But my thing is, if I'm in a relationship with you, please don't say anything. They've been raised.
So
whatever I do as a mother is because I do it because I want to do it.
Even if it's advice. Even if it's advice. What if?
I mean, if I've had male friends that gave my sons good. I didn't.
No, I'm saying they're giving you good advice, because I know there may be a time where I say something.
I'm not gonna shut it down. I just had my experience with this guy I was talking to, and my son will be 21.
Mm-hmm.
He in my house like, oh, how long he gonna stay here? Because if me and you get together, oh, is you crazy? What is you?
Okay, that's completely something different. See what
I have set up. You start doing that because I feel like you first saw you went too aggressive, and you put yourself in a position that I don't know.
Yeah, they're plotting on. Somebody say something like that, they're plotting on you. Anyway.
Yeah, see, I'm thinking of a way lower scale of things. I'm thinking way lower scale of things.
And it's a little different for me. Like I tell people all the time, my situation is different because my ex-husband was the only guy I was with for 31 years. And I got 3 sons. So their father was a good dad to them. So I don't need anybody coming in my life thinking like raise or redirect or whatever. I don't mind it.
Yeah, but
so just because and I have a son, I have a partner, and there may be some times where I tell my son, for instance, I don't care whether we went anywhere yesterday, last night, today, or tonight. You're gonna get in the shower every day, at least once a day. You have to. And a lot of times I will get on the kids about getting in the shower, and my boyfriend is like, yo, they ain't do nothing, they ain't sweaty, they don't fuck, they ain't stink, they ain't funky, they ain't. Leave them boys alone. Like, leave them be. He telling me something about the kids. It's not necessarily wrong. He's just saying, or I may say, oh, well, Layla, go here, do this and do this. And he may say, girl, I think you should let her come out here and do that because I think the marker's going to be on that wall. And it's just like, oh, okay. So it's not him telling me something about my kids. It's advice. He has kids that are older. He may have some advice or an input. That doesn't mean just because they're not his kids and they have an active father, he's not valid. There's been plenty of times where my kid's father live in a different state. So there's been plenty of games, and not that his father's not active, not that he's not invested in his sport or anything. Been many times, and my partner played basketball overseas. It's been many times in the middle of the game, he pulled my son aside, said, hey, look, do this, do that, do this, do that. You're not doing this, you're not doing that. Or he'll catch my son outside riding a scooter, playing and stuff, and he like, bro, last game you had 2 points. You need to be dribbling this ball. He's not, quote unquote, telling me something about the kids. He's inputting and being a positive force. So
but
what
that sounds
with that?
That sounds a lot different because she started her remark with saying her kids are all grown and they've been raised. So the input would be.
But he's a grown man. I mean, he's a grown man, so he could tell a 21-year-old about being 21.
If he's.
Let's ask the question. Let's ask the question in this. Let's ask the question in this way.
She's doing for her child.
Hold on. Let's ask the question in this way. No, she has every right to set an expectation in terms of what she will or won't tolerate in terms of a man saying something. I don't think anybody's begrudging her that. I think what Shanice is getting at is there anything that he can say that is within the bounds of acceptability when it comes to potentially seeing something that could assist him?
Right.
It is. I've had a guy that I've been friends for over 40 years. My son was thinking about going in the Army. I didn't really agree with him. And he talked to him and he gave him his synopsis of what he thought the Army was because he retired. He did that time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm open to that, but I'm not open to a man telling me how I should handle my children.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And telling me, why you giving your son $1,000? Why you doing? You still doing stuff for your kids? Like I had a guy I was talking to was like, my son just had a baby. He was like, you did this grand shower, this and that. I said, I do everything I do for my kids is grand. Everything gonna be grand and a memory forever. So if you come about that, you're probably talking to me, bro. So ain't nothing gonna happen there.
Yeah, and I can see that. I feel that.
Yeah, I have 3 boys.
Because I've had similar instances with.
So what if it's a little bit of both?
What questioning what I do for my kids.
Now, what if it's a little bit of both? And I haven't had this experience, but I'm just thinking and throwing it out there. My kids are very spoiled children. And that's fine. That's something that I do. My partner, personally, he spoils his kids too. But if I'm doing something that may be over the top, or if he's doing something that may be over the top for what this child is deserving of at this time, why can I not say that or voice that opinion when I'm part of the positive? I'm part of helping with the children. And now that it comes to a time where I'm this bonus parent and it's time to, I guess, put things in perspective or say, okay, this shouldn't really be going like this. Now it's an issue because, again, yes, regardless of whether my kids are 12 or 20, I'm going to be there for them. But if I don't know if we know for a fact you blowing your money on weed and you say you need $1,000 and my partner or your bonus dad that has been there or it's been around or hasn't been around is like, hey, don't you think if he needs $1,000 for such and such, maybe you should pay his rent versus putting $1,000 in his hand? Why is that comment not valid? Why is that input not valid?
That doesn't sound invalid. That doesn't.
I think they talk about originally dating when men say things, whatever, when you first start off dating, because some people are judgmental,
very judgmental,
off the muscle, whatever, and they say things.
Or jealous.
Yeah. So what about the reverse factor, whatever, when you want a man's advice or feedback and you trying to like, oh, what do you think? And they like, shit, I ain't got a dog in this fight. I ain't saying shit. That's on you, whatever. That gets frowned upon too.
It does.
But you're not going to be able to please everybody with that. No, you're right about that. Go ahead.
Person that was making that statement was like, yo, because I told my son he has to get out my house at 18. He has to go to college or he go get a trade somewhere. But he had to get out my house. And I said to him, I said, yo, we the only culture that be kicking our kids out. I said, I find that crazy.
You
just had that conversation again tonight.
Hold on a second. Y'all have just awakened me.
Let me say this. Wonder why our kids end up on the corner of Goodyear.
Nope.
We wonder why our kids is struck. Wonder why our kids connect with baby mamas in the projects and have more. Because you put them out there before.
I disagree.
Go out there. Okay.
But if you train your child up and prepare them for life, I don't agree with kicking kids out. Because I'm gonna tell you this.
I also know kids were trained up and they had this, some dads, I'm not knocking that, had this strong exterior, like, yeah, you gonna get a job, you gonna go into service, or you gonna go get a trade. And if you ain't gonna do neither one of those, some kids are not college material. Some kids have to find themselves and have to find what they're gonna do.
Even better when they gotta learn on their own.
I'm grateful that my kids.
Well, I don't agree with that.
I'm not doing.
I'm gonna add this
to mine.
Well, I can give my child time to find themselves, but while I give you time to find yourself, I'm not, and I can't. Again, I have an election.
That's it. Hold on. Realistically, what the hell they gonna do at 18? I don't know.
Well, I think what we're looking at here is the difference.
What are they going to do at 20, 21,
20? Hold on. I think the difference that we're looking at here is how women rear their boys or girls and how fathers rear their boys and girls. Fathers are going to push their sons to become something, whereas mothers aren't. Mothers are going to allow their boys to nest.
I know Willie doesn't like this. I want to comment to something Annette said. Number one, we're not the only culture that does this. We're the only one that talks about it, that we do this. And we look at things like Hispanic culture and say, well, they could stay home at this, but they're also contributing to the household in a sense, just like we are in a sense. Now, let me be clear. I'm from a family. I have 9 aunts and uncles or what have you, just on my mother's side. And yes, some of them stayed at the home till they were 23 and 24. It was ridiculous, whatever. And my grandmother and grandfather reminded them of that, like when I was 15 years old, I was doing this. Now, am I literally saying no, kick you? Actually, I am. No, but in all seriousness, I think that with all this technology and access to information that we have, a kid can technically graduate from school when they're 16 years old. Now, the problem is that when you look at Generation X, which I think most of us are, versus Gen Y and definitely Gen Z, where they weren't latchkey kids, they didn't learn how to cook anything for themselves.
Right. Yeah.
It was something that Annette said, mentioned, like sending your kid $1,000. Okay, well, what business idea are you talking about, son? Did you give me a business plan for this thing? Well, whoa. You didn't get.
I wish my father would ask me for a business plan to get $1,000.
You just need $1,000 off the rip.
I will throw the biggest tantrum in the world.
Exactly. You just need $1,000 off the rip. I mean, shit. I hope
you tell them,
I need tires. I need tires. Your grandkids are sliding on the road.
But let's get back to this, especially with boys, because we got to look at it from this perspective. Our parents are typically baby boomers and such, and many of them started their families at 17 and 18. I'm not saying that that's the best time to start a family, but I will say it's the best time physically to do that, but different time, different generation. Nowadays, we are correct. These kids are softer than baby shit, so they probably can't handle the real world. Now, me, I couldn't wait till I turned 18 to get the F out. You know, I tried getting an apartment when I was 17 years old. My mother's like, "Are you crazy?" Because my parents had divorced at the time. I'm like, "Well, Dad said he's going to sign off on this or whatever." He's like, "Of course he would." But that's because I was on a mission of trying to be on my own. And as soon as I graduated from high school, I left town. I left the city. Okay. I wanted to conquer the world and try to navigate it by myself. So you don't think it's smarter? I'm not making this about me. I'm just using me as an example, but we're not training our kids to be equipped. We have to think about it like this. Yeah. We used to send 17 and 18-year-olds to the military. You either going to war or you going to the army, or you getting a damn job. If you're going to stay here, you now literally have kids. Well, I want to leave him on my insurance because he's 26. Like, so you got a 26-year-old man who's smashing chicks in your house or whatever on your insurance when he can get his own real job and get his own place. And I'll end on this note. I'm making this about me. I remember one time I came home when I was going back and forth from Minnesota, and something happened, and my mother was talking to me like I was like 14 years old. And I'm like, you know what? Keys, peace out. I left that big house to go back to my little 300-foot square efficiency because that was my efficiency. It was what it was where I was comfortable or whatever. And that helped me, move on to different directions. And I've told this to other men, and we've babied our men so much. Yeah. Then we complain about why isn't the man stopping on the road to help me? But the white man did it. Somebody I'm not gonna say who, but
didn't want to say it. Didn't want to say it.
We wonder why these boys don't have any manly attributes or anything like that, because we excessively baby them, and then we try to hide under the cloak of, no, we want them to be a family. Most of the men who have lived on their own, their damn mothers were like, well, can I at least decorate it? Or here's dinner or whatever. They're going to look out. You look at animals, I get it. We're the highest level mammal being. But you look at animals, I'll never forget watching a documentary with these squirrels. Man, a dad got so sick of this squirrel, he ran that son off the village, whatever. But then 3 months later, they showed the squirrel with his own female squirrel, and they had their own little burrow and all this, and they continued the cycle and on. And that's what we're not teaching. This excessive babying of children. And I was talking about men. Don't even get me started about females, but I'm just saying to men, I just say, okay, maybe we don't need to put them out the house or anything, but we do need to encourage them to go out there and navigate the world as a man.
That part I can agree with. What I don't agree with is putting them out and you not creating a foundation or something for your kids to even know how to navigate the world on their own. And now they are 18 and they're just out here and they're trying to figure things out and they don't know which way to go or how to go. I will say personally, I did live on my own at 17. When my father decided to come to Baltimore, Maryland, and he was just like, something, I'm looking for a place. And I was like, no, please don't. I have an extra room. And I can come in my room and you could just come to my house. Like, that's just it. And if my father called me today and it's like, I'm moving to Virginia, and I'm gonna be like, listen, I'm moving Layla out her room. It's easier. Like, it's easier. The reality is it's easier. I mean, I don't know. It's life is easier. I don't care. When you have a plan around,
it totally is easier.
I agree.
I'm equipped. My father has equipped me to live life, to do anything. But at the end of the day, I do not think that I am less than or he's not being a good parent. Now my father is good for it. My father will quote unquote make me pay him back. Now whether I'm paying him back this same $1,000 for 40 years. The next 40 years of my life, then, that's our business, but he will put me on a tab. But he also knows that I do what I need to do. I'm not out here just frolicking around the community, just spending money, just doing something. So if I ask him for something, I need it. And if I need it, why wouldn't he? And if he have it, why wouldn't he give or help with it? A lot of times he'll tell me he has half. So I already know. I already know if I need 1,000, I'm gonna say I need 2,000. So.
But again, it's the foundation that you teach your children. I always, I'm grateful and I'm blessed that my son and daughter, we taught your first credit card. We added them to our credit card. Got 17. You need to establish credit.
And you were last case scenario.
We told them, listen, you need to buy. My oldest bought his first house 2 years. My second oldest, the same thing. So, like, you know, once you teach them and you give them the foundation, like I told you, just listen, if you're going to use your credit card, let's use it smartly. You're going to go put gas on your credit card. So pay your bill, pay your phone bill on your credit card, and then go ahead and pay your credit card, okay? Because you're showing usage and you're showing payments. So it's all about how, you know, what you teach your kids. So if my son come to me and say, yo, my water line broke, I didn't save no money, I got 3 kids, could you give me $5,000, Mom? I'm gonna give it back to you. Oh yeah, I got a promissory note. Come on.
Yeah, but see, don't you? I'm not questioning your parenting. My parents had businesses, and they didn't tell me half the shit that you just said. So salute to you on that. But don't you think the fact that they know that they have that safety net is one part of the issue?
No, because at the end of the day, they could say no.
Why would that be an issue?
Honest with you, I'm only doing what I was taught. Okay.
Why would that be an issue to help your child?
Because when they're an
I don't think that's what he's saying. What he's saying is it kind of takes away the motivation to put yourself in a position to be financially solvent.
If she's doing all the things, if she's doing all the things she's saying she's doing with her children, then and they understand that if things do fall on hard times, they can turn to her for help. How is that wrong that she's making them aware that they go back and say, hey, I need that help?
He's not saying that
what he was saying is basically if somebody is using that to their advantage.
Right.
I
know use it as a crutch by making it available to them. Right. I understand that. But the thing is, why wouldn't you make your child feel that there's a safety net there if they need it?
Because at a certain point in time,
I got one child that will use it as a crutch and will abuse
of course.
it. I know who that child is.
That's what he's talking about.
Okay. But the other kids, I don't have to worry about it because they're always conscious about making sure for one thing is your kids get to a place, I feel like my kids always want to prove to me and my ex-husband that they got it. We got it. We can handle it.
Y'all did good.
Like they gotta prove it. And I'm glad they feel like they got to prove it because I want you to exhaust every other resource and then come to me.
Right.
Okay.
And
I want you to make sure that you... And I feel like having that for them is good because what happens for me when my son went to get his house, I'm like, no, I don't need you to do that. I need you to do this. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to go through a program for housing. Your credit is good. You thinking about down payment. We're going to loan this down payment money to you. I'm always thinking of different avenues on how to do something to get somebody else out of the equation because I believe your family should help you.
Exactly. Okay? That I've been having this conversation for the last 2 weeks actually, and this is what we talked about: the fact that in Black families, Black households, Black American households, is where you find that families are quick to have their children move out for whatever reason, whereas other cultures, if you really look at other cultures, a lot of them will allow their children and the family to stay as one unit in a household for a number of years. And what they do is they They do things where they put monies together. I forgot what the name of it's called.
Diesel.
Right. And they do that, and then that money is used to go buy a house, start a business. One friend of mine, they're Jamaicans, and they had the whole family staying in a household together, and then they each person went out and bought taxi cabs with their ISU money, and then had taxi businesses, and keep that money. They still stayed in that house together, and then eventually when they bought separate houses. But the thing was, we so quick to put our children out and say, okay, now you can go do X, Y, Z. You can get your own house, you can get your own apartment, you can do whatever the case may be, and they may not be ready, or you're forcing them to be ready, and then a lot of our kids feel that they can't go back home and ask for help because their parents may not be able to help them anyways. So I mean, we have a lot of myths too. And I was because the person was talking about the fact that the person that brought it up to me, they were talking about the fact that that family, those same families will take their monies together and go buy a 2-unit apartment, 2-unit house, or a 4-unit building, and each one has an apartment now. I mean, they'll work together, and you don't find that too often in Black families, Black American families, right? And if
but it's not an
if you do those things as a unit and grow the wealth of the family together. What's the Ball family with the basketball?
LeVar
team. Yeah. Lamar Ball, he was talking about it. Like I said, this subject has been coming up for the last couple of weeks. Lamar Ball was talking about it the other day. He said you have Michael Jordan, you have Magic Johnson, you have Shaquille O'Neal. All those guys are millionaires or almost billionaires. He said, but you have the Ball family, you have the Walton family, you have the Hines family. See, all those together become a monopoly in a billionaire. That's a generational wealth there. But those other people are individuals, and they don't do it as a group. They don't do anything as a group to create where it's working for more than just themselves. Well,
and that's I was just about to say, I lived with, when I was working on a down payment, I lived with Donnie's mother when I was working on a down payment for my house. My sister, they did a switcheroo. Her college roommate, lived with them first. She did her down payment. The next year, they stayed in her condo, and then they did their down payment and had their wedding all in 1 year.
And that's how you make things grow. Yeah.
Right. And everybody now has their own thing. And I just think that we lack that in our community, helping each other or helping each other.
We act like you can't stand each other to live with each other. You have like 2 grown women can't be in a house together and all of this stuff. So you have all those
as much as me and my cousin, y'all be, I mean, I don't know if y'all grew up in a house of cousins, and my grandparents as well too. They still maintain a 6-bedroom household. Everybody is grown. They don't have to, but at any given time, anybody can come there and live.
Can come back. Yeah.
Anytime, at any time, and not for any reason. I'm not taking Pookie in because he just don't do nothing, and now he lost his apartment, et cetera, et cetera. You got to come with a story, and your story better be good. And it better be
right.
A lot of time, Pookie always ends up somewhere.
I agree with you. Well, how about this, Herb? You had something to say on this.
Actually, I think part of the issue, the larger issue, is most of us don't come with that kind of work ethic. So what's being asked is people who have that work ethic have to account for those who don't. And once you see that, you say, look, I'm not going to break my neck for you because you're not doing anything.
Right.
I was going to say Chris Tucker. I forgot the young brother's name, the comedian. But anyway, he said, I was on the highway one time pushing my car. He said, I had a lot of people stop.
Corey Holcomb.
And they helped me. He said, but one time somebody was standing out there on the highway with a sign that says, please help me, and nobody helped him. A lot of people are willing to help those who help themselves, but nobody's not going to help anybody who's not helping themselves. And I think that's a lot of what we have in Black America is learned helplessness. We want somebody to do something for us when we're not doing anything for ourselves. They always rely on talking about, well, why these athletes get all these millions of dollars, but they don't come back and help the community, because the community keeps shooting itself in the foot. So when you have somebody like Bill Cosby who stands up and talks about the issues with single parent homes, people rail against him. They want to deny him what he's saying, but they want his money. If they want his money, then you got to take his advice so we can maintain that money within the culture. And if we can't maintain that money in the culture because we're too obstinate and too solipsistic to listen, then you don't deserve that money. It's like they say, you don't put good wine in a bad cistern. And that's what we keep wanting people to do for Black America. We want them to invest in something while we're giving the investment away to somebody else.
It's learned helplessness is a formal term of it. I appreciate when Willie said about LeVar Ball and such, now being a huge sports head. In fact, I could plug a channel. My partner, my homie, he knows LeVar Ball personally, and he's got tour of him in all the house or whatever. Hoop Jargon. He's actually in the group. I actually invited them over into the group, into that discussion you put up, Dave, about the coach that was loud talking to kid. But I bring that up to say this. LeVar embraces a ridiculous false equivalency in comparing the Waltons, Shaq, and all these other households, and the Currys. LeVar didn't make the pros. So he was a personal trainer struggling, making sure that his kids, now, regardless of my disagreements with LeVar, I do respect the fact it's like, no, y'all going to be doing this on this path. And this gets back to what Herb talked about with this work ethic, okay? Shaq was already in the pros. Jordan was already in the pros. That's when you have a great father or great mother, it is very hard to get those kids to be at that level because, one, they want to be their own individual. Number two, they don't want to necessarily do that, but, you know, you got those pressures coming in. And I understand the intent of what LeVar was saying, what have you, but LeVar, he basically, y'all understand what I'm saying. He basically reared his kids up. I don't want to call it from the bottom, but they saw him. Whereas Shaq's kids, they've been spoon-fed their whole life. Shaq did at least make a great joke when he was telling his son and said, yeah, well, we rich. He said, I'm rich. You not rich or whatever. I went and did this.
And that's the problem.
So let's just bring this back down because I consider all those MFers gatekeepers. That's why I don't like entertainers or sports, even though I follow sports or whatever. They're gatekeepers anyway. I focus on Black men because, one, I'm a Black man, what have you. And we can't raise toothless lions. It's one thing to say, yo, we shouldn't be throwing them out or whatever. Okay, so what work were they doing when they were coming up? Did they push the lawnmowers, shovel snow? Were they coming up doing that? Were they doing their lemonade stand thing? Were they even working at your local fast food restaurant? Nowadays, we have a problem with kids working. One part because people see that I get political, but one part because people say, well, these people should be making this money, thus it eliminates a potential workforce, what have you, children or whatever in this market. You literally, using sports as an example, I'm a land this plane, just stick with me. Most athletes nowadays have never worked a job. Okay, how do I know this? Because I know a lot of them. Then some have said, no, I only worked one job, and it was just briefly, whereas the generation before, they worked jobs. I'm talking about professional athletes. If they didn't work jobs, and many of these kids, most of us probably had a job when we were teenagers. How many kids nowadays, Dave, you work in the schools. How many of these kids nowadays have a job at the shopping mall? Oh, wait, shopping malls don't exist anymore. We buy things from here and such. They don't, I shouldn't say we're not teaching we've adapted too much into this land of convenience time or whatever, to whereas, oh no, they got time to figure it out. I had to rush or whatever when I was 18, 19. I had a full course load, and we want everything to be easy and convenient and all this.
Right.
Then we wonder why they can't fend for themselves,
right,
and
yeah.
such. And again, are we raising toothless lions, or are we raising lions? Now, she mentioned something about one of her sons. Now, maybe that's just the tendencies. I'm not calling him a toothless lion by any stretch. I'm just simply saying parents know which kids are like, okay, that's the one that's the ambitious, that's the go-getter. What I'm saying is we don't start that when they're teenagers. By then, it's too late. We start this, hey, are they helping with... I remember one time, I was back when I dated women with kids, you know, I'm like, your kids don't go out and get the groceries out of the trunk? Are you kidding me? You bringing in the groceries, or we're bringing in the groceries? This is ridiculous. I'm not saying your kids said that or whatever. I'm just saying, but we see this whole, we can't hear you. You know, you're on mute. I'm talking about you and that, you know. So, I mean, again, what are we doing with these boys that's equipping them to be men? What challenging situations are we putting them in? It's not just always as simple as just groceries. Are we teaching them combat training? Are we teaching them how to shoot? Are we teaching them how to fight? Are we putting them in certain conflicting situations? You're going to figure this out, but as a dad or as an uncle, as a cousin, as an OG, I'm going to tell you, okay, here's what you did good, here's what you did wrong. And that's what we're not doing as a collective. So we can't complain when it's like, oh yeah, they're still sucking on a nipple at 22 years old. And I'm keeping, okay, case in point, we used to have to read. Now, 75% of boys, well, in California, I don't know the national stat, but I know it's close, barely read at an 8th grade level.
Right.
And well, what are we going to do? Go to the white people to figure this out? Or is this a problem that we can figure out? I believe it's a problem we can figure out. But when I say this shit, and I'll end on this note, oh, you're being too hard. You don't understand their upbringing. You don't get it. And it's like, man, damn all that. Damn all that. Let's attack this problem the way it is. And yes, I am very forward, very aggressive in this, and I get it. That's not some people's disposition or personality, but hey, this is how the world is. There's a reason that the Army can train you to be in a war within 3 months, because this is the standard. You guys that don't meet it, you're going to fall off.
Yeah.
And some of the guys who came from messed up backgrounds are like, shit, I'm going to figure this out because I definitely don't want to go back there.
Right. Just to follow up what Sir Tyson's saying, for those of you who have watched the Shark Tank, the gentleman that goes by the name Mr. Wonderful, he said at 18, he's cutting his kids off. They're going to have to learn. They're going to have to figure it out. So there are individuals of means who actually do follow that doctrine.
Well, once again, it's all about did he prepare them to figure it out?
Oh, I'm sure he has, because that's what he does. That's his acumen.
So if he knows that he prepared them well, then I guess he can take that stand.
And realistically, there's no real cutting your child off at 18 if they're in school as a college student. There's not.
I beg to differ.
I didn't say Chauncey don't send them a care package and fuck y'all little motherfuckers. You know,
that's what it's giving, y'all. That's what it's giving.
Well, you know what? I'm a facts over feelings person. Okay, so you know you.
Well, Chauncey, I'll say this much: if we look at the demographics of Black America now, kids that come from impoverished communities, they're already cut off. The parents don't have to cut them off. They don't have anything to come back for the parents for.
Bars.
So, in essence, and I use myself, my mother couldn't cut me off because she couldn't give me anything. So I had to figure it out on the fly. So there's a lot of young brothers out here, and this is why you see them gravitate to the street corner, because that's how they're figuring it out. I understand what you're saying.
Ain't no money in the street game anymore.
No. And no, honestly, but you have some younger cats that still haven't figured it out. They don't realize they're legalizing marijuana. So now what you're gonna do that they're taking that out of your hand. You don't have a marketable skill. You don't want to go to school to learn a marketable skill. And like Sir Ty said, they can't read. So if you can't read, you don't have a marketable skill. What are you going to do?
I can't say that. I'll just say this: a friend who is a VP of a corporation right now, if I gave it even industry or whatever, give it away. He used to sell weed, okay?
Yeah.
But he took those talents and became that because it was all about people, he said.
Well, yeah, and this was
drugs to open up a company. So I mean, they had to figure it out.
Well, but that's what we're saying. You can't do that anymore. Those avenues are being cut off. So, like I said, if you don't have a marketable skill,
it ain't the only thing being sold, but okay.
Let's look at it like this.
Let's not go there.
Okay. The point of the matter is, at a certain point in time, a young man has to go into the world and earn. This is why you see a lot of black women that say black men aren't leading, because they want them out in front. No matter where a woman is financially, she's going to want a man to be farther ahead. So if the number of women in college is outpacing men, it doesn't matter what that man is earning. She's going to think in her mind, he's not socially cognizant enough to be with me. Even if he's an electrician, a trucker, or a sanitation engineer pulling in 70, 80,000, he can't feed me. So if he can't feed me, no matter if he can feed me, I don't want him.
Yeah, but back up to
there's
the point about
podcasts, Audible books that read stuff I ain't buying. A nigga can't read. He can drop some knowledge. I'm not buying.
You know why that doesn't work, Shanice? Because if he can't read, he can't think critically. So it doesn't matter what you give him, he can't rationalize it.
Get the point. But what I'm saying is,
at the level that he's at, he can develop people skills. You have a lot of pimps, but here's the thing: like a pimp, someone who I literally have zero respect for. As my dad said, they use women to make their money. I'll be divulging too much about myself. But the thing is a pimp does have good people reading skills. Unfortunately, most of them transfer into the pulpit, which is why we have what we have a lot. That doesn't mean every preacher. I know, Miss Shaughnessy, you're ultra religious. I'm not going there. I'm just simply saying I do agree with you in that a person, just because a person isn't book smart, I'll use that better. That doesn't mean that they can't. Where I slightly disagree with her, that doesn't mean that they can't think critically. But I will say that their scope is narrow.
Well,
now, they can grow that scope because it gets back into what Christine talked about, ambitious. I think that, listen, this is where I go against a lot of black men. We are so taught to, I've seen so many geniuses in chemistry, in computer sciences, in boxing, even, the things that I participated in coming up that have fallen into the streets because they didn't want to be considered, you think you're going to be some Tommy Hearns ass dude. What you think you Madame Curie ass, bitch ass, N-word, whatever and all this. And they fell into that peer pressure. Whereas I never did. I had no reason to fall into it because I didn't think nothing. I said, why do you put their comments on a pedestal? But a lot of this happens to this day. This is where the power of social media comes in because people are falling into these algorithms versus like, okay, what is my real interaction with these people or whatever? I'm just telling you how a lot of guys fall into these traps in this, but I'm going back to the original point. I completely agree with you. I just think that, about a guy not being book smart can be intelligent, but unfortunately, because they choose to stick with that certain world, hell, it's no different than how nerdy guys are very smart on one topic, but just have no social skills and just don't get it outside of anything else. And it's like, dude, you figured out everything outside of this, but you can't even say hi to this woman. She breathes just like you, So you make a good point there. I just wish people could expand and get outside of their comfort zones because I'll end at this. We are taught to date with a scarcity mindset. What?
It's 12:13. We're gonna get ready to.
Oh no.
Oh no, yeah, it is. We're gonna get ready to close it out. If y'all want to give any talking points, closing comments, then we go slide out here.
Thanks for letting me up. Didn't mean to put y'all to sleep. I don't think I put y'all to sleep. I just think that we're afraid to challenge ourselves as kids. We're afraid to challenge our own children, and we're afraid to challenge ourselves now. And for us to grow in anything, we gotta challenge ourselves. Challenge ourselves could be something as simple as saying hi to a person we don't say hi to normally or whatever, or just making an extra effort when we work out. Let's just try another level, or let me watch something. I don't want to suggest TV. Let me watch or read something that I don't read things in that expands our perspective. That's all.
I want to say something real quick. I just want to comment on the statement that somebody made. It's interesting that the ladies are not keeping the girls at home after 18. That is absolutely incorrect. I allow my sons and daughters. I've got 4 daughters and 3 sons, and I let them stay so that when they got on their feet, they ain't have to come back. And it worked. I mean, my youngest son was 24 when he moved out. He bought his own house. I do think that it's about preparing our kids. And I like what I like what you're saying right now about challenging ourselves and whatever. I do think we need to. I think we need to step outside of our box and get out of our own way. But again, as usual, good conversation, a lot of good talking points, and good conversation back and forth with new ideas about old topics, But it's like David always says, these topics aren't going anywhere. So
around.
Yep, we need to keep discussing them. New stuff comes out every time you talk. So anyway, outside of that, everybody, great night as usual. But it's that time.
I hear you. All right, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Yeah, the Sha Na Na goodbye song. I will keep people abreast of what's going on with that particular situation. He has replied, so we will see where it ends up. And as I like to close, growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
Right.
I'm gonna end by saying, ladies, keep doing background checks, keep being aware of who you date, how you date, knowing everything about them. Whether you want to take the time to do that in conversation or getting to know people or doing it all up front, it's up to you. But I, as a female, will not encourage another female or any females to ever, I guess, limit their security or means of finding security for themselves. Do everything that you feel you need to do to protect yourself when dating.
All right. And for me, I'm going to go back on the whole theme of what's been going on in the counselor's corner and just overall. I mean, it's been several posts that people just been, going at it on different people's views and getting personal. It shouldn't really get to that point. When you know yourself and know who you are, you can read something and say, if you have something to add to it, you chime in. If you don't, you keep it moving. But a lot of it has been getting real personal to the point like, come on, like stop. This is getting ridiculous. And it doesn't have to be that way because everybody has something to bring to the table, whether they're 70, 80 years old, whether they're 24, 25, everybody has something to bring or to offer. So we just have to just listen to learn and learn to listen, and not always come at somebody's throat. And that's my closing comment, and I appreciate everybody joining and people who were in the chat and just tuning in. Stay tuned for the next one, and of course, everybody continue to be safe. Be great.
Good night, all.
We out.
All right, people.
Good
Peace.
night.
Take care.
All right.
Why can't I get out of this?